Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Flank. All right, I'm joined by Patrick Price, aka Aches. We got Ben J. Nassim, and then of course we got Chris Parasite in the building. Gentlemen, how we feeling, man? It's been a little while. When was the last time we did a Flank? Like a week ago? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
I don't even remember.
Last week.
Yeah, it wasn't too far ago. How you guys been? Pat, how's work?
Doing great. This week's interesting. A lot of game devs actually take off like this week. Like this Thanksgiving break is like a real popular time that a lot of dev studios take their holiday time. I think that's why we're seeing some of the issues with
you
IW.
don't say.
But but yeah, it's great getting some work done before the little Thanksgiving break. And yeah, Extra Finance looking great.
Love that, Chris. What about you, man? How's everything going? Apparently, we're hearing an echo. Pat, you muted in the other program.
Yeah, I'm muted.
You muted? I don't hear anything. You good now though? Oh, maybe it's because I was just leaning into the mic. We should be good. Yeah, we should be good. Pat, that's always good, bro. I'm glad work is going good. Glad we got the holidays coming up. You know, I feel like the holidays are always nice. I'm back home in Jersey now, so I'm gonna be spending some time home with the family. You know, we got obviously Thanksgiving, and then we got Christmas coming up, so the New Year. So I'm excited, man. It's like one of my favorite times of the year. Chris, what's going on with you, buddy? What's happening, man?
Just been coaching my team. We've had a little bit of a break due to the settings, but we're starting to get back into it. Besides that, just more of the same, streaming and balancing the coaching aspect while, trying to do, I guess, content, playing some Warzone, streaming some like Challenger stuff, the normal.
How's the coaching going? Everything going good? I know the game is kind of like, there's some interesting spawns and some interesting maps that you've been like breaking down gameplay and shit and like really studying it.
Oh, yeah, just mainly whenever I get to watch my team play, and I learn from experience, so playing eights and stuff like that definitely helps as well. Just trying to involve myself in the game and learn from playing, learn from watching. But yeah, I feel like I've been doing a pretty good job. Just looking forward to, the season and seeing how the, one events and stuff coming back up.
Yeah, hell yeah. And what about you, Ben? What's going on with you, bro? I saw you, you've been doing some of the World Cup watch parties. Matter of fact, before we go on board with Ben, let's go into a live clip of Ben Nassim watching the World Cup.
Let's go!
Come on, Ben, you're all hyped up. Ben, the golf club almost hit you in the nuts.
Yeah,
you saw that?
bro.
Can you imagine if you stepped on a golf club and it hit you in the balls? I would have been crying. I would have started crying right there. Boom!
Right,
How
I was
you
about to
doing?
die.
I gotta be careful where I place the putter, bro.
Did you break your headset?
No, my headset worked, bro. I at least smoked that, and I'm
Dude, it
surprised
looked
it's
like
still
Ben.
working.
It looked like Ben was about to dolphin dive into his television. No
Nah,
bullshit.
bro, I'm telling you, and I love that you're showing this side of you, Ben, because that's you, Ben. That's how you be getting, bro. When we watch games, when we play
I get
FIFA,
passionate, yeah.
hey, straight
game was that?
passion.
That was the USA Wales game. Unfortunately, Walker Zimmerman was stupid and conceded the penalty, and we drew that game.
I
But-
still can't believe Zimmerman went to the floor
Zimmerman
there.
had a little bit of a brain fart. But World Cup's been lit, Tom. I mean,
It's
today
been
we
great.
had probably one of the greatest upsets in World Cup history this
Yep.
morning. We had 2 0-0 draws that one of which was more entertaining than the other, and then France scored quite a few goals against Australia to close out the day. So that was a fun game.
Who's your pick, Ben, to win it all? Who's your pick?
I picked Argentina, so now I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest.
You picked Argentina. I
Yeah.
said a bunch. Listen, I said I know a week ago. I said like 5 teams. But if
Like 5.
if I had to choose, I would say either France again or Brazil. I feel like
Picking it back to
Brazil's
back
gonna-
is tough. I would say the Argentina point, Mexico and Mexico drawing 0-0 definitely helped out their situation. So Argentina winning 2 games are still going to be top of the group. But I don't think anyone predicted Saudi Arabia to be sitting 3 points top of that group prior to this tournament. So, there's the magic of the World Cup. Sometimes results are unpredictable.
I feel like it's Italy's year.
Bro, Pat,
Oh,
come
my
on,
bad.
Pat. Why are you doing this? I told you, Pat. My grandfather cried,
my
bro.
bad,
He
my
fucking
bad, my
cried.
bad,
What's
my
wrong with
bad.
you? It's fucked up, Pat. It's real fucked up.
Sorry.
But let's talk about COD a little bit, bro. Let's change the convo, because I don't even want to think about that right now. But let's change the topic over to COD. The game was fucking broken for like a week. Apparently, the game has now been fixed up to about, what, an hour ago? 2 hours ago?
Well,
Apparently, they just fixed it. Is that true? Is it true? Did they fix the
it's
game?
Fixed, kind of. Maybe
Got a
not
Band-Aid,
so
bro.
much.
It's a
So-
Band-Aid.
So just to give kind of the breakdown, and we'll dive in. So there's obviously Warzone rolled out last week, and with Warzone rolling out, it broke a couple things in the game. It broke the social tab, which they eventually fixed a couple days later. They took all of the CDL rule sets out. Private matches were broken. If you got no private match, like You had dev errors. It was a real mixy situation. So no CDL rules. Teams in scrim for a couple of days. They finally started scrimming on kind of like they were kind of basically glitching the game. You have to be level 52 to get all the like attachments and perks, and basically they tried that. As of tonight, they rolled out a title update that added the CDL rule set back in. But if you pull up Brian Saint's tweet or the CDL Intel tweet about 3 minutes ago, unfortunately, there's issues with changing your weapon because you get the same kind of issue you had when the social tab was broken. Control is reverted to sort of pub rules where we're not getting time per tick, which is what we've been trying to fight for a couple of years. And apparently they haven't fixed all of the dev error issues. So what we mean by dev errors is sometimes your game will just kick you back to menu and it'll say dev error. It's a pretty generic error that you get. So things are still a little bit busted. Hopefully they can fix them shortly here because we have matches starting next week, Tom. So
Yeah.
Not to mention on top of that, spawns at the time when they took out the CDL mode were bugged and they were very chaotic and it was really weird. I can't even explain it. They were just everywhere. And they said they fixed them. And although the game seems a lot more playable, they definitely changed spawns. Like they are not as sticky anymore, which I guess could be a good and a bad thing. But for the consistency aspect, I've noticed a lot more of split spawns. So a lot of teams are starting to try to figure out how to kind of avoid those situations. That way, you're not spawning people all over the place. But we're playing an IW title, and they're not very famous for their spawn system and stuff like that. So, although they said they fixed it, it's not reverted back to the way the game was playing prior to the Warzone update.
That's crazy to me, man. That especially because, like you said, Ben, the event's right around the corner. So I just feel like the pros haven't really gotten productive practice. I feel like they've kind of been in limbo for like a week, and already things felt like they kind of slowed down. There was so much hype when MW2 came out. People were hyping it up a little bit. Even the multiplayer, even competitive people were saying, it plays pretty good. They think it's better than MW19. Think it's better than Vanguard. And then you just had that week sprint where it doesn't work, and it's frustrating. You think it's gonna have a big impact on the first major? Think it's gonna have an impact on Major 1 or not really so much?
Well, so for reference, as far as I understand how it works, like when CDL teams play real matches, they use what's called an esports build. So I'm curious what the state of that is, because that allows them to select servers and has things for the observers and a bunch of other stuff that enables a lot of the functionality to make matches happen. So I'm curious what the state of that is because we have games coming up here next Friday, then the weekend, and that's the 2 weeks leading in the majors. So yeah, I think there's a lot of concern right now. Obviously, good to see that they've kind of maybe fixed it, but they haven't really. So hopefully, before Thanksgiving rolls around on Thursday, they can maybe get this sorted with the hot fix. But yeah, I think kind of where we should probably move this next is,
Well, I want to get Pat's thoughts. I want to get Pat's thoughts before we move on. Go ahead, Pat. You said I doubt it. That's what you said.
I really don't think there would be a hot fit. I mean, unless there's somebody at IW putting in work who's just in the studio, I highly doubt they get a fix in by Thanksgiving. I mean, because I was kind of asking, I mean, just in general, is this a really common thing for most dev studios? And yeah, I mean, they take off their holiday time is they focus Thanksgiving and Christmas and yeah, I don't know. It'd be a miracle if they
it's the holidays. It's the holidays. I don't know if they're in office. And we know that there's not a dedicated esports team over there, a team that's dedicated to competitive. Because if there was, fixes be happening a lot quicker, I feel. But hopefully in the future, we've been hoping for a decade. But go ahead, Chris.
While we're still on topic, Tom, although I don't think it's going to have effect too much on the pro league because they got a little bit more time, right, before their first major. But the challengers already had something directly affected by it. We were supposed to have a cup the last weekend, which would have been the second seeding tournament. Crazy that we already played a tournament when the state of the game is in such a terrible state right now, with all the errors and stuff. But anyways, we were supposed to have our second tournament, and that ended up getting canceled. So that already directly affected the prize pool, even though cups aren't really worth too much. That's something that the challengers end up losing on, and that also affects the seeding going into the pro-am qualifier that the amateurs have to go through. So there's less prior results to help seed the teams, and as you know, in challengers, teams change a lot, and there's a lot of I don't know. I think there needs to be more source material for them to seed these teams properly for such an important qualifier, and for them to already be directly affected of it. I think it's frustrating as a challenger player, man. Like
100%.
the pro league players definitely have a lot more important stuff to play for, but the challengers, man, they're a lot of their future rides on some of these tournaments at the beginning of the year with the whole seeding aspect, and it's demoralizing at times to see the stuff that happens to not only the pro league, but it trickles down. I think as a community, we have to remember that, man. The challengers are important, and it sucks.
Yeah, but I mean, the
So, yeah,
challenge is where we see the new, the up and coming, like the next one's up. And if that's a shithole, it just feels like we're taking steps back. But go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, the only thing, Chris, I'll say, and I'm curious your thoughts, is a positive or negative thing. Obviously, prior to the change, it was going to be 16 teams in NA and EU that went to the Major One qualifier, and then 8 in APAC, 8 in LATAM. Now it's a 64. You think, Chris, it's an unintended thing, like a positive thing? You won't get these crazy roster changes where people tried to like make roster changes based on seeding, try and get a better seed. Now that you get 64 in, it's a bit of a wider field.
And we're already seeing it. We're already seeing roster changes. It's happening quick, right in front of our eyes.
They
Go ahead,
mitigate
Chris.
that to a certain degree, but it's not really that important because at the end of the day, like only 3 teams qualify, like for the actual pro-am.
3
So
in
like
EU, 3 in NA, 1 in LATAM, and 1 in APAC.
yeah, exactly. So like we're just talking about one region here, like 3 qualify. It's really not going to matter too much because at the end of the day, like the only teams that quite frankly have a shot are the people that are placing well in these cups. Like there's never going to be a time where a top 64 team is just going to come out and place top 3 unless quite frankly they're probably cheating. So it doesn't really affect that much. It's more so just another like, oh yeah, just mitigate the lower end roster changes. But I mean, it affects the top challenger players more, and that's where like I think that these issues and stuff like that are just unacceptable, man. Like these guys are on the cusp of the the pro league. Some of them are actual substitutes on some of these pro teams, and having their years the year dictated by some some of these tournaments when there's so many errors is stupid. I personally don't think the challengers tournament should start until like basically the pro league starts, because it's unfair that to a degree challengers are test dummies. Where they're like fucking science experiments where settings are being, it's true, science, they're literally science experiments where certain weapons are being tested, GAs change every day, map pools, blah blah blah. Like, right, we had a cup a week before, no, not even a week before, actually it might have been a week before the rule set got announced, the maps got announced, when there was that whole fiasco
it was the week of the rule set,
bro. Like dude, I don't even play and I'm still annoyed by it. Like, I don't know. It's definitely frustrating. I think it's just unacceptable. I know, Ben, you want to talk about solutions, and I know we talk about solutions all the time. But hey, man,
we're always talking about solutions. Go ahead, Ben. Talk about your solutions. Let's see what you got.
So I think first thing, Chris, in particular, I was talking about the seeding thing. I'm talking about like the team that won Challengers Champs last year, for example. Like they basically that team formed out of a roster mania in order to get enough pro points to make it to that tournament. That's the situation I was alluding to. That you would have had with the 16 is like people trying to get a better seed within the 16, but obviously don't have that with the 64. So I think solutions, look, talking about, obviously we can sit here and have a whole kind of debrief on what's happened over the last like 7 days in this sort of rule setting. I think Envoy's tweet then gets to kind of the heart of the problem. And I know, Tom, and you and I talked about it on your screen probably like 2 days ago. It seems like there was a little bit of a communication gap here around the issues regarding the private lobbies. And I think the comms problem is something that needs to be addressed long term. I don't think Dylan Envoy should be the one that's messaging this out to the community. I think that's an unfair responsibility that Activision's not going to make a statement on it, and then Envoy then kind of went to Twitter with his frustrations. I guess it wasn't, I don't think, handled in a way that I think benefits everyone in the community. So I think what I'm looking to see is, if further things happen, we have a KI issue like this, right, known issue, something breaks, how is that better communicated to the community, so people can adjust accordingly, because this wasn't handled particularly good.
My issue with this whole thing, though, Ben, is I get there's going to be issues when big updates come out. I get there's going to be big issues when the game releases and stuff like that. But like, why is it that the players, the league, the challengers, their seasons are starting when all these issues? Yeah, I get they want to start it earlier, but like, if we're gonna have these issues, can they like QA test the game better, maybe. Like some of these issues, I feel like you would load up the game and you would just instantly know it's not a thing. Like you're telling me that when they open, because I'm pretty sure the reason why they took out the private match, or not private match, but CDL stuff, was because people were accessing stuff they didn't unlock. Camos, like all the CDL camos were in there, operators, blah blah. You're telling me they didn't load up the game, open up prem match, and be like, wow, we have everything unlocked. This isn't a good, this isn't supposed to happen. Let's fix it. Like the way they QA test the game, in my opinion, I mean, I could be talking out my ass. I obviously don't know their whole process, but like, dude, it's unacceptable that this is happening during, you know, the competitive season when the importance, or the tournaments are so damn important, and there's money on the line for some of these people. There's careers on the line for some of these people. It's just unacceptable. And like, it's happened like 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row. I swear, every single year there's like, oh, big Warzone update with the release of the new games about to happen. Every challenger player makes a joke out of it on in the DMs in the group chat. Oh, guys, we're not gonna be able to scrim. Don't plan on getting scrims for the day of the update. And in this case, it wasn't just the day of the update; it was the damn week of the update, bro. Like, come on, it's just, it's terrible.
I think something y'all gotta remember here.
Yeah, go ahead, Pat.
I think something y'all gotta remember here is, of all of the things that, you know, came out with this game, multiplayer is the least important thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like by far and away. And then inside a multiplayer, private match is probably the least important thing. Right. So like, I think you're dealing with two hurdles here where, you know, in terms of priority, like private match is literally the bottom, not even the bottom of the barrel, underneath the bottom of the barrel. Like it's so far out of sight, out of mind. I think for IW right now at this state with how much they're launching. So I'm not personally surprised at all. I really am. I'm not.
I don't think anybody's surprised. Go ahead, Ben.
I think one of the things, and I'm sure on the Activision side they've been fighting for this, is, you know, two things. One is that, especially when we have new game releases, like the pros need to be getting that gold build and working with it like weeks before the game gets released.
No, a year.
Okay, that's even a better point. Like they should be in the alpha process, even pre-alpha.
Pre-alpha.
That's a fair point.
For sure.
Okay, so that's a fair thing. I think the second thing is 1 or 2 or 3 head count, either at all the studios, one studio to support the competitive products. We're talking CDL World Set in private lobbies, podcasts or the works. So that, again, to your QA point, like someone's on top of these KIs and these bugs, and working with the pros on how to mitigate this stuff. Because, I mean, again, to your point, Chris, like we've had this is not the first year we've had this issue, right? There's a difference between sometimes stuff breaks when a patch comes out, is what it is. But this is not the first time we've had stuff where it breaks, and now we're out of scrims for 2 or 3 days because we got to wait for the developers to fix it. It needs to be a better two-way street in terms of communication. These guys' livelihood, they're playing for real money. To your point with challengers, like Major One is a pro-am tournament. For these challengers players, it is a life-changing opportunity to potentially play against pros and make their path towards being a superstar in the CDL. This is important stuff, and their practice time is being chalked because of these things. So hopefully there's some positive momentum that people on the Activision side, who I think are probably best suited to take this battle, not, you know, pros, owners, maybe, to actually get some of these things implemented.
Yeah,
I'm just tired of going in circles. I just feel like we say the same thing every year. We sound like a fucking every year we sound exactly the same. But go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say, just to move topics a little bit, just like away from the actual game side, just to more like you know, the players and the things that we deal with. There's been this talk every year when stuff like this happens, or the game isn't developed as expected, with, you know, uncompetitive features, for example, not having a red dot. The players, there's been talk of the whole union thing. I know one person that's a little bit more vocal about it is Slasher. Slasher talks about it all the time, how he's like, oh, I've always been down to you know, do something to kind of like, you know, alluding to that whole unionizing thing. But nothing ever gets done. And I want to know your guys' thoughts on that stuff, because personally, it's fucking annoying. Like I saw like a Clay tweet something about how like, oh, we're replaceable and stuff like that. And dude, no, you are not. You're got, like, granted, maybe the whole league thing, like maybe the league isn't as important as we think it is, and they do cancel the league if something like this were to ever happen. But at the same time, from a player perspective, bro, no, these organizations aren't just going to pick up fucking some random shitty amateur and replace your big ass brand. Like, especially like a person like Scump, for example, if he were to like, speak up about all this type of stuff and be a little bit more active and maybe actually try to, do something about it rather than just posting a tweet here and there that's, kind of funny and, get some laughs out of it. And like, bro, like there's been talk about the whole boycotting the league and boycotting all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just want to know what you guys think about it. Cause personally, it pisses me off that all these people just make all these excuses about it. Like, bro, I'm sure from a working world, like I know, video games are different, but I'm sure all these other people probably had the same thing back in the day where they're like, oh, we have no power. We have no power, but you never fucking know until you fucking try.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
We talked about this the other day. Me and Ben were talking about it a little bit. It basically just comes down to everybody wanting to agree to go into the union. I mean, everybody's got to do it. Nobody can be left out, because if there's people left out, then it could get a little weird.
I don't even think it requires to be unionized, bro. I just think you need all 48 players actually on the same page, actually care to get involved.
Same thing, right? Like
and that's just never happened. And I don't think it will ever happen. I mean, maybe when Scump's gone, it'll happen. Because I'll be honest, like Scump. I mean, I don't know if chat knows this. I know a lot of the pros know this. Scump was one of those players who, kind of was a setback for getting all 48 people involved. Like, it's really hard to get Seth on that same page and get him to stand up. I mean, Seth's in a spot where he's obviously better off than every single player combined. So it's like, the effort level for him to want to get involved is obviously a lot different for the players that, not that it matters more to anyone, but it's very clear, like the hierarchy. So, I think that's been leaked before. Like, I think Krim came out talking about that before.
Clay's talked about it before.
Clay's
Too,
talking about, it's just one of those things where you never, I don't think, obviously this may change. I don't think you're ever going to get all 48 players on the same page just to say, hey, we won't do X, or hey, we'll all do this. I just don't think it'll happen.
Well, I don't know. I don't think so.
It's not fair to throw it all on Seth, though, Pat.
No,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't think it is, but it's
no one's
like,
throwing
that's
shots at this guy.
But you got to realize the position Seth's in. Like, Seth's the most influential person as a player in the scene, and it's like, you can, it's obviously not his fault. It's not his responsibility, but at the same time, like, he has to be on board. And if Seth's not on board, then it's like, it really. Not only does it affect his team, but it makes other players not want to get on board, right? If Seth's not on board,
even if he was on board, right? Like, hypothetically, say everybody was on board, is there any world where the union can go south and it can do worse than good?
So unions are complicated to form.
Takes too long.
I think Clay has talked about this quite a bit, that the biggest barrier in this situation was the financial part. It is not a free ride to work with lawyers to establish a union, go through the whole process of the union board. Obviously, you got to get Activision on board. There's collective bargaining. You got to pay lawyers to negotiate. You got to probably get some kind of staff to help run the PA. Like, it will cause dues to the players. The players will have to pay up, and I think the financial part is where that stopped, from my understanding.
But you got some players on 400K and some players on 50K.
But to your point, Pat, I don't think you need a union to get some of these things done.
I don't think so either.
I think, to your point, for the players, this is an opportunity and a wake-up call to say, hey, you guys need to, get on the same page and make a list of what you guys want. And they have communication pipelines direct to people other than CDL player relations to get that feedback to people.
You know who I'm the most disappointed by here, Ben, is the owners.
Yeah, I was just waiting for you guys to finish, but I was gonna say it's less on the players and Scump. I mean, it comes down to the owners. They need to get into a boardroom. They need to be the ones handling this shit. But I don't, and I know Hector has been very public about it, but like, it's very, very difficult to get all the owners on the same page. I don't think the owners are all down to get into something like that. At the end of the day, it comes down to them, not the players. It shouldn't be on the players.
It blows my mind that these orgs are going to invest.
Influence the owners a lot.
It blows my mind that these owners are going to invest millions of dollars to participate in a league and pay their players and stuff like that. And yeah, I know Call of Duty is not going to take a big hit from a couple people on Twitter slandering the league and all that stuff. But like, bro, from organization perspective, this shit is fucking embarrassing.
Yeah,
like, dude, why haven't these people, like, maybe not, like, you don't need, maybe not a formal union, but like, why haven't there been this, like, just unionize your ideas and fucking push it, pressure. Like do you guys really think you have no power? You guys put up this fucking investment of millions of dollars.
Stop payments, like stop installments and try and figure this shit
I
out.
I don't even think they paid yet,
Oh,
right?
I know where Ben's going with this.
Did they just
paid, bro?
wait? Didn't the payments just start this year?
So a couple things. So from my understanding, and this has been publicly reported, by the way, over the course of I think the pandemic as well, right? So these teams entered franchise agreements. It's not like they put 25 million escrow and they said, "Here you go." Right? There's a payment structure. For many of these organizations, from my understanding, they haven't paid. They deferred a lot of payments, obviously due to the pandemic, everybody's financial situation, yada yada yada. I think, though, to your point, Chris, I can speak towards a majority of teams. The captains and the players are speaking to management and owners about these issues. But to your point, a lot of these owners, some of these owners are doing stuff about it and are having those conversations. But some of these owners, I don't think are necessarily in the league to cause a stir, really be in the forefront of moving issues. They're trying to stay under the radar, manage political relationships, because at the end of the day, they're in for an investment and they want to protect their exits so they can make money down the road. So that's sort of normal.
Their investment's going to
dynamic.
shit, Ben. It's going to shit.
Well, I would.
They need to do something before their
econo-
investment gets chalked.
The economics of the CDL are a little bit complicated, and that's a conversation for another day, I think.
How long until we're on the Warzone CDL?
The
You wanna do
Warzone CDL? Are they doing that?
No, I'm just saying. How long do you guys think until that's the?
I thought we were going to see
product?
it this year. I thought they were going to transition into that. I was waiting for something like that.
I think, Warzone competitive content is interesting.
Not even just competitive. My point is, when do you think Warzone is just the main product?
Soon. I think it's
That's what I
very
mean.
soon.
No. Well, they need a couple of tools in Warzone they don't have right now, including an observer client, because you basically can't tell a good story. It's very hard to tell a good story if you're covering a Warzone tournament, just carrying 40, 100 POVs. Look at what the issue that Fortnite deals with, PUBG, whatever.
Wait, was there not some sort of like observer client in like I remember in MW they were doing like private match Warzone tournaments with like the CDL pros and stuff like that. Was there not something like that in the game already?
There was some, yeah, I know what you're talking about, because they were running those like CDL Warzone tournaments, like those collab tournaments, and they were pretty cool. They were all right.
In Warzone right now, there's not an observer client. So if you watch a Warzone tournament, they're probably pulling individual player POVs or they're pulling streams.
Yeah, they're
That's how they
pulling
do it.
streams.
And there's so much action, it's possible to tell a story. I think, though, the kind of issue I think with Warzone is I don't actually know in terms of like competitive Warzone. I think almost like World Series of Warzone is the best version of the product. It's not necessarily super competitive. It's like in this weird line between fully competitive and having your influencers play. And straddling that line, I think, is like almost the best box for it. So I don't know if you'd ever see Warzone fully replace the competitive product. I can see a world in which we go to sort of a hybrid model where you have sort of a full CDL season for 6 months, and then for a couple of months you do this sort of pro influencer off-season Warzone.
But
thing that's a
why
series
even
of
have
events.
the CDL season at that point? You're just having it to have it. There's not like I don't think there's upside to have a CDL season if you're going to do that.
There's a more extended ROI conversation of the value of something like CDL in terms of esports. Right.
Going down.
As a marketing MTX pushing exercise for the main game. Among
So
other things.
so you're telling me they
I feel
do
like
need
that's
they
dying
do
down.
need us to a degree.
No, that's not what he's saying at all.
No, that's not what I'm saying, but I'm trying to answer Pat's question as to why you wouldn't just can a CDL. Now, I think if we're going to talk in pure CDL terms, I think the wild card in all of these conversations, all of the things we've just discussed, is that Activision is under talks to merge with Microsoft. I think the deals have been pretty much signed off by the boards, and now it's in front of the regulators, and that's supposed to close at some point in June of 2023. Now, that may not hit the target because there's a lot of regulatory pressure, but coincidentally, the season kind of ends in June. I'm very curious what happens in the middle of next year and how things may change once Microsoft the merger goes through with Microsoft, and they now have some say in sort of some of the economics and action there. It seems like this issues with Sony have been solved, at least in Europe. There was a New York Times article I saw a couple of days ago that basically they've offered Sony like 10 years exclusivity on Call of Duty.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, but obviously,
Interesting. I didn't see that.
It's it's a multinational corporations merging, so there's a lot of regulatory barriers in a lot of countries. The biggest one that hurdles right now are in the EU, where they're going through that process, and in the US, which I believe US regulatory agencies are doing a review right now. So, that's where I think the June 23 window is coming in, because they're assuming that all those processes will be done and the sign-offs will be in. But obviously, as we've seen with large mergers like this, things can get kicked down
And
the road based on that.
how do you know who's a Warzone professional? We were talking about this today in my chat. Like what do you need to be considered a Warzone pro? Like what are you looking for there? Is it just like earnings? Is it because for the most part for me it's just like they're content creators, but there's also creators that are just really good, right?
That's what it is.
They never put up. I actually think that leaving it ambiguous kind of is part of. Again, to me, I think I see Warzone as like competitive entertainment. It's not fully competitive. I don't think if Warzone became like PUBG, it would be as fun to watch. But I think like World Series of Warzone, CDL Resurgence are kind of the box that you want to be in, where you take a mix of competitive players, like influencers that are ex-pros or just really talented players like
Y'all know PUBG is the biggest game in the world?
Baka Bros. But go ahead.
Is it?
That's what I saw.
Yeah, but that's a
PUBG
lot of
Mobile
that's the mobile.
because-
That's a lot of
PUBG
mobile
Mobile's
client.
massive in Southeast Asia. Yeah.
Hey, but PUBG's PUBG.
I was gonna
That's
say.
crazy.
That is
I was gonna say, Ben, the whole the Warzone thing that you were just what were you just talking about? Just like I just like blacked out for a second.
Competitive entertainment.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, they've already had this argument with the whole entertainment stuff, and you said how if it becomes like PUBG, it's not going to be as entertaining. A lot of the pros and stuff like that, the Warzone pros, a lot of the bigger faces in Warzone, when they were introducing tournaments to the private matches, where it was just private matches with just a bunch of like good players and stuff like that, a lot of people didn't like it as much. They wanted to do a lot more tournaments with pub stomping, like the 2v2 kill races, the stuff like that, because it was a lot more entertaining and it was a lot more fun. They already said a lot of the time that they didn't like that aspect of the whole private matches, because if you remember, a couple of those tournaments, at least at the beginning, they were just like, oh, it's fucking boring because people are just camping.
Yeah.
Like, in order to have a competitive, quote unquote, competitive BR, you have to have incentives for people to be aggressive, and that to be a lot of the primary way that you accumulate points and score and stuff like that and placements. And I think was it Apex that was doing a pretty good job of it in their
I like
tournaments.
Apex's scoring model is really good because it
Yeah.
straddles that line between, you can't just be inactive and play. Fortnite had this problem. You can't play to the end and not be active. You actually want to incentivize people for playing active, getting like a top 10 and getting a lot of kills. That actually PUBG's got good scoring now to incentivize that.
So you would need something like that to even make competitive Warzone a like fun to watch, because otherwise, if you have it like those early tournaments, it was just people camping, and it's so fucking boring that's why a lot of the time people just wanted to do the kill races more, because it's a lot more fun to watch a really good player just go pub stomp, drop a 20, drop a 40, drop a 30 on some noobs. Like that's why the entertainment aspect comes from that you were talking about.
Yeah, that's again, to my point. I think if we're talking about some like really polished, repeatable Warzone competitive product, I think that is a much farther out timeline than we all think, just because they're lacking the tools. They're lacking, I think, a peer sanctioning system that works and a rule set and game mode. So I think that's more probably of a back end of this year, maybe in the next year conversation. But I think that's where it's going to go, right? I think we're going to have one half of the year CDL, a couple of months Warzone, that's your off season, and then back into CDL is kind of how the calendar is going to go.
Well, let's keep it going now. Let's keep the conversation. We got the league that is starting, December 2nd is when it starts, I think. Exactly. So we got some league matches coming a little bit over a week now, so we're getting excited for the season to begin. This tier list that you got in front of us, this was made from Atlanta FaZe. They made a little video, and this was the tier list that they ended up making at the end of the video. What do you guys think about this tier list? You think this is a W list, L list? I mean, we haven't had a big sample size, right? We've just able to watch streams before all these glitches in the game broke, right? We were able to watch streams a little bit and kind of tune in and see how teams are doing. But the last week or two, we haven't really been able to watch anybody. So this got to be based off Atlanta FaZe and them playing these teams and going by there.
This list is hilarious, but you should pull up the breaking point one. I think that's a coach's poll. Might be a better one to use for this conversation, since all of the CDL coaches voted on the breaking point poll, and that one might be a better one to reference.
Fuck the breaking point one. Use ours that we did.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of breaking. The
Yeah,
reason why I want to use these though, Pat, is because we
I wonder how
haven't been.
close ours is.
Ours
We-
is the most accurate.
Yeah, I'm curious about how ours aligns to the
Yeah, I
breaking
mean,
point one.
That was before the game even released. No.
Most accurate. Hey, listen, hold on, real quick, because I saw something on the phase one. Y'all see how far Minnesota was, right? Down in the bottom of the seas. I was trying to tell y'all when we were doing ours, and all y'all were like, no, they're gonna be like a B, a high B. I was trying to tell you, man, they were gonna be some duty booty. I was
But
trying to warn you guys.
If somebody can get me like a screenshot of ours, I'll pull it up. If somebody can get me a link. But this is the coaches' power rankings. They got
Yeah,
LA
but like, you got
Thieves.
Brian. I mean, coaches Minnesota got. They got Nubsy, Brian Saint, Jay Reppin. They were voting for
Nah,
themselves.
Joey's not a coach, bro.
I don't think. I don't think you can. I don't think that's how you do. Can they vote
No,
for
I think the coach
themselves?
probably have one vote per team. I don't think it's like, I don't
Well,
think
They
it's stack
were
the
buying
box.
votes.
Nah, I don't think that's how this works.
We got LA Thieves, Atlanta FaZe in the S tier on the coaches list. For A tier, we got Toronto Ultra, Minnesota Rocker, Vegas Legion, which is interesting to see. But that they were in A tier or B tier on the FaZe list as well. And Optic, Seattle Surge and Optic Texas. That's the A tier in that order. B tier, New York Subliners, Boston Breach. C tier, Florida Mutineers, Los Angeles Guerrillas, and D tier, the London Royal Ravens, who I heard have been struggling. See a lot of people talking about on socials that they've been struggling, based on what other pro players are saying, and obviously based off the tier list that we've seen. Apparently, London's struggling right now. What are your thoughts about that?
I'll be honest. The only surprise out of this is Legion. Like from going into the season, right? We didn't know how good Legion was going to be.
Yeah.
But I think like if you cover up Legion, like I feel like this entire list just makes sense.
It looks like our list. To
Yeah,
a degree.
it looks like we were doing it. We had LAT FaZe top, and then we had like obviously the Optics Seattle Ultra, and then everyone else. I think we had London last, right? We might have had LAG last.
I think we had London last.
Yeah, okay. So but we
Yeah.
had Florida, London, and LAG definitely bottom three. So like that, I mean, to be honest, it makes sense to me. I think Legion was just the
Do we
team
have
that
our tier list?
came out
Yeah,
and
someone will
have been
find it.
playing well.
I think it's to me the Paris thing or Vegas thing. We're gonna keep making that mistake, or I'll keep making that mistake for the whole season. I think there's a lot of respect I have for Theory and for Clay and for Donnie and the work they've done with that team early on to kind of get ahead, grind the game early, really start working on situationals, get really ahead in hard point. I think in scrims, at least we were watching them a couple of weeks ago, and I know Clay's in the chat, so he can probably speak to this a little better. They were a little bit kind of mixed on control, but on paper, I don't think they're amazing at that game mode. I expect them to be a good search team. So Vegas might be an interesting team coming
Yeah,
in.
it's like the exact
cycle.
same, bro. Outside of
Yes.
Legion.
Nah,
couple-
it's
a
a little
couple-
different.
a
It's a
couple-
little
Wait, no,
different.
the
the
bottom
A-
three, the mid three, and like
S to
the top
B, S to
two
B
and
is pretty
second.
close to
Yeah, no,
ours.
we were the AB is always gonna be hard because the mid pack of this is always a shuffle from event to event.
Hey, our A and B's close. We just bump
Yeah.
up
Bro,
Rocker
they're
and it's
basically
identical.
the exact same. Yeah,
They're a little different. They're a little different for sure.
A little bit.
I think,
that's
but
cool.
like C through D, like that's all the same, bro. Like there's no difference. Like if you're in C, you might as well be in D. Like
You're saying if you don't qualify for champs, you're last anyway. Like
yes, bro. I've been saying that. I've been saying that.
It's
Like
interesting.
I hate when people get like ninth place. Like no, man, you got dead last. You didn't get ninth. You got dead last.
I think the biggest takeaway I have from all of these lists, again,
No.
we haven't there hasn't been any games yet. I think again this year with the way things are set up, Major 5 will be very interesting because the middle pack of the CDL is very close. There's going to be a lot of split points. And the champs race on who gets those 8 spots should not ideally be decided for that event. I think it's going to come down to a couple placings at that event, and will once again be super exciting to see who is going to be having an absolute heartbreaker that weekend when they're not going to be pulling up to the last event of the season, and who might pull in New York and be a surprise entry and get some momentum at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And for a team like Vegas, because Clay's in the chat, like they may have an opportunity here to get some points early and be in the race and be able to play ahead and work through all the team stuff because they've looked pretty solid in scrims and might be sort of the surprise package to start the season.
Yep.
Dude, Clay's gonna hate me, but you know the team last year who like got all their points online and like none of their points on land. Like that's gonna be Legion this year, bro.
No way.
I'm
You think
sorry,
so,
Clay.
Pat? You think so?
Sorry, I think
It's
so.
always good to start the season off hot, man. It always is. You get that confidence. You get some good early points. You get a good little bump. Clay's losing composure in the chat. Look at him. He's losing composure. You know? But
Bro, T just ordering cookies at 4 a.m. with ice cream on them, bro. Like they're an online
Damn.
team.
we'll see what happens with the Vegas Legion. But did you guys see that there's some jerseys? I guess the CDL teams are able to customize jerseys this year. Have you guys seen all the jerseys yet? Here's a few of them right now. We got
I
LA
don't, I don't
Thieves.
think all of them are not out yet. I think there's more getting released.
Yeah, there's a lot more that still need to be
If
released.
you go to Call of Duty store, Tom, if you go to Call of Duty store, they have all the ones that have been released so far.
Wait a second.
The Florida jersey is fire.
Yeah,
bro.
Hold on, bro.
That's a good jersey.
Nade, what are you doing, bro?
You don't like it, Pat?
That didn't look no different than their old one.
Yeah, there was a slight change to it. They added a little detail to it. But we could take a look at all of them and we could pull it up. Honestly, the Florida Mutineers jersey looks great.
Yeah, the Florida one might be the best one.
The Florida Mutineers looks good.
Florida and LAG so far, and we haven't seen all 12. Florida and LAG are probably the best ones so far.
Oh, that is clean, yo.
It's pretty clean.
Yeah, look at the back of it. Can you is there a way to see the back? The back is also part of the logo.
The only thing I've heard about these jerseys, by the way, from talking to some pros, is they do kind of sit on your neck a little bit weird. The way the neck is cut is really wide.
It's like the real open. Yeah, I hate that.
There we go.
It's like
damn, $80.
I mean, it's a jersey, you know.
Damn.
It's a jersey. I actually really like the Atlanta FaZe. No bias. I really like what Atlanta FaZe did with the AF and how they made like the pattern.
Like the diamonds.
And even the back looks clean too. This is the back. You see the back?
Wait,
it looks clean.
I don't know if it's the monitor, but does
wow,
LA
the back of the
have...
Florida is sick.
Yeah, can you click on the? Can you please click on the Thieves
LA
one, bro?
Thieves has checkers.
Yeah,
does
they
it look like checkers?
Let's
Nah,
take a look.
They're like
bro.
fucking Croatia, yeah.
Nah, Nate, bro. Come
They got
on.
checkers, bro. You don't like it, Pat?
No, man. He might as well done the prison stripes, bro.
No
Come
way,
on, man.
No, I kind of like it, Pat.
Pat, what's your fee for Nate to hire you to design their jerseys for next season?
I actually don't mind it.
After
Wait,
looking
Pat
at
has
that,
no drip, bro.
wait.
Don't trust Pat.
After looking at that, and they're selling that for $82 million a year, easy.
Dude.
Bro, they're selling a checkerboard with the Thieves logo.
I
for
actually
$80?
really like the Los Angeles Gorillas too. Check this out. This is fire too.
They
This is
got
sick.
all.
too.
No, LA 100 Thieves actually has amazing apparel, bro, and they're selling that LAT jersey. Yo, the 100 Thieves designers must have been busy or something. They
one's
must have been
good.
on break.
I like the back of it. It looks really nice.
And this is
Bro,
Boston
bro.
Breach. Boston Breach with a more simple approach. I don't mind it.
I feel like Breach could utilize that whole like mask gimmick they have a little bit more in their like I don't know their jersey design. Like it's just a little.
I think they just wanted to keep it
I
simple.
think the Boston one. I'm very curious what the colorways are. Like, is it black white again?
It's
or is it
black
like a third?
green, right? Isn't it black green?
I'm saying not everybody can wear black.
They gotta
jerseys.
have a home and away.
Yeah,
bro.
home and away. So there might be a
Bro,
third kit this year.
White might be their
Yeah.
way.
I
Maybe.
feel like a dick saying this. The Mutineers got to get a better roster if they got jerseys like that, bro.
No way, Pat.
Bro,
Why you
there's only
cooking
one
them so
jersey
bad
this
for
year?
Pat?
If you got a jersey like that, you got to be top 3 in the league.
There's only one jersey this year, so it means everyone's gonna be wearing black, bro.
There's no alternate kit. Like, doesn't that kind of?
At least they all look
Flash?
way different, though. At least none of them look alike, even if they are wearing
Yeah.
like close to the same color. It's not like they're playing football, playing footy, where they like need to see the different
Yeah,
kits.
but I would, as a fan, I'd like to see like two alternate
two,
designs. Yeah. I don't know if I see that it's maybe a cost maneuver, but it's gonna look weird on stage. Everybody wearing black jerseys.
You see
I
the
don't think
rocker
that-
with
I
the? They got
don't-
like
I
the
don't-
diamond look.
I don't think that's that weird.
The
I
rocker
don't
one's
know.
okay. I don't know. I just don't like the blue, the shade of blue they used.
I feel like
Like
I feel like
on
the
the
white and
inseam, yeah.
black was forced, bro. I don't know.
Yeah, but it should be like white's a traditional home color, right? It could be like black and then like,
They're
like
like
Boston
main
Breach,
color.
for example. Like go back to
green.
Boston Breach's jerseys, bro. Invert those colors. It would sick.
Yeah, if it
Green
was
jersey with
white,
black.
yeah, it would be sick if they.
No,
were-
it's not white. Just literally invert
Like
the colors.
do green like is the main
Yeah.
color like a.
Oh, like all green?
Yeah,
Like
the
a
green with the
neon?
Nah,
black.
I don't know
but
about
yeah.
that, bro.
Nah, that would,
Yo,
it would
man,
look
what
amazing.
do you
Nah,
mean?
bro, they be looking like boogers on stage.
Nah, that'd be.
I
heat,
feel like
bro.
a white with like just keep the green how it is. Change breach to black and change the black to white. Change all the white on this to black and change the black to white. Just kind of flip
There's
it.
not really a need
That'd
for
be
home
sick.
and away, but it's just more so for diversity. I don't
Mm-mm.
know. I always like I've always liked the whole like I remember Optic used to do their like championship like Sunday white jerseys. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I don't know, I'm
Well-
disappointed there's only one jersey. I would love to see additional colorways throughout the year. That'd be really sick. So hopefully maybe they roll something out more near the end of the season.
And then yeah, I like that we had got just like actual
Oh,
creativity in the jerseys. That's nice.
before we-
Yeah,
It's a
how come they can create their own jersey but not their own skin in game? Their camo.
Well, it's not. So supposedly they will create new skins. What was reported by Jacob Hale. So I
What,
think we'll be
year
seeing
2?
those. Supposedly, from what's been discussed and reported, it seems like those are coming early next year. So Tom, before we go into questions,
Yep.
I want to get Chris and your and Pat's thoughts. So if you scroll
Yeah,
on
just
Reddit,
say everybody, Ben.
no, well, not me, because I don't think I think you guys can speak on this more than I can. Nate did an interview, I think with the CDL or with the 100 Thieves podcast, and talked about the Vegas Legion scrims, and I want you to play that clip. And I'm curious your guys' thoughts.
Where is it? Can you link it to me, Ben?
It's in Reddit. I have it. Yeah.
Yeah, just put it in the chat. Drop it in the chat, and I'll take a look at it.
In TeamSpeak chat.
No, in my Twitch chat.
Oh, your Twitch chat. I got
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it, and we'll give our opinions.
We don't have to watch the whole clip. You can watch probably like the first minute of it, and I'm curious your guys' thoughts on what.
Okay.
It's
Nadeshot's problem with pro gamers.
Yeah, it's a very interesting take from Pat.
We can watch the whole thing.
Nate, sorry.
It's 2 minutes. We'll watch it.
Hindsight, after you've been far removed from it, and as you get older and learn how to communicate, it's the biggest problem with communication, in my opinion, in competitive teams. It's not about who's right or wrong. It's the tone that people use. I'll give you, like I said, a perfect example. I was watching scrims the other day while I was eating my lunch, and Clayster and Temp are on a brand new team together, and I haven't said this, and I got a lot of respect for those guys. Me and Clay won together, and this has nothing to do with their talent or even personality. In Call of Duty specifically, and I'm sure it's like this in other games, this is like the second day that this game has been out, and they're scrimming. And if you go back and watch this VOD, it's the tone of the way that they're calling out and the way that they're talking to each other. It's dismissive, it's passive aggressive, and people don't realize until you mature that the only way that you're going to be able to communicate with somebody and get something out of them, and vice versa, is by talking to them like a human being. You know, it's really all about delivery when you want somebody to listen. It's the tone of your voice. It's the energy. And I think that's the biggest problem in competition. Of course, there's certain points where you think you're right, they think they're right, somebody's wrong, right?
Hey, wake up.
But at the end of the day, I think if everybody can remove themselves from the situation and realize, listen, there's a reason why we're all on a team together. We all, if you don't respect my talent, then we got a bigger problem. We need to fix that, because then we just can't move forward together. But at the end of the day, if you do respect each other's talent and you do believe your team can win, you need to do everything in your power to make sure that you don't let, I haven't eaten, so I've got I get hangry. And I used to have the same problem. I'd just call out and I'd make shitty comments and my tone would be off because everybody's frustrated, everybody's competitive, everybody wants to win. I don't think I'm answering your question exactly the answer you're looking for, but I genuinely do believe that for people like Clay and Temp and for anybody, if you can learn how to communicate properly and make sure you're heard by being respectful and talking about it at the right time when the map is over and everybody respects those rules and respects that mission that you're all on, people wouldn't run into as many problems as they do.
Well, after hearing that from Nadeshot, we do have Clayster joining us live on the flank. Clay, what are your immediate thoughts after watching that video? What are your immediate thoughts, boss?
Hey, he's spitting facts, right? Like, anybody can admit that what he said is true, right? Like, there is a way to do things, and there's a certain way to go about speaking to each other. But it's all about having that mutual respect for each other. And that's the key thing in all of it. And in the entirety of feedback delivery, if the person you're giving feedback or criticism to doesn't respect what you're saying, then it's never going to work no matter how you say it. If you say it in a calm voice or an angry voice, right? There's only a certain amount of people. Pat is one of these people in the call right now. We would genuinely give feedback so direct and brutally honest on complexity, but that's how we operated because we knew it was just for the betterment of the team. We could talk to each other a certain way, all of us, and we all understood that it was only for the betterment of the team. It comes from a place of trying to get the team better, right? And what Matt is saying is like, yeah, we're showing you scrims in the first couple of days. We're also playing that up like crazy. You know, streams have been off the last 2 weeks, and we've had some like deep conversations speaking to each other like this, right?
Right.
And so it's like you got to understand it's all entertainment. You know, any time in the middle of a game people are giving feedback, it's coming from a place of frustration, like you just got broken or you fucked up a rotation or someone didn't call out, right? And you're pissed you died. That's what it comes from every time. And of course, in the moment, it's going to sound heated. It's going to sound disrespectful. But if everyone's on the same page and understands this is how we're doing things, you know, we're able to talk to each other in the middle of scrims and be like, yo, in this moment, do this instead and learn from it, then I feel like it's fine, right?
Well, I feel like with complexity, though, too, Clay, you were winning everything, right? So I feel like
Hey,
having
Tom,
that passive aggressive
That's
attitude.
why. That's why, baby. That's why we were winning everything.
But I'm also saying, say you weren't winning everything, right? Say another team had that same attitude and they weren't winning everything, because right, you guys' attitude wasn't the only reason why you were winning.
If we were
Let's
talking
be
like how
honest.
if we were talking like how Nate wants us to talk, we wouldn't have been winning everything.
You think so?
Tom,
You think so?
Listen, it's real simple. It's real simple. 2 things. 3 things actually. My bad. 1, Nate is 100% right in a corporate, normal business environment, without question, no debate.
Thanks.
However, in an ultra competitive environment, and this goes for any sport, team, whatever you want to compare it to, there are massive exceptions to the rule. I think Clay brought a good example of, like, you know, dude, like think about being on LeBron's team in the NBA. I don't give a fuck, and I'm sure every NBA player thought this. Like, I would not care how LeBron delivered a message to me. If that's LeBron, like, I'm taking it in. Like, it doesn't matter the delivery. So in general, in an ultra competitive environment, when everyone understands there is a common goal, and that common goal is simple, it's winning, it's to be the best. It is very simple. Like, that is the only goal that we're here for. That's all we're trying to do. We want to win. Nothing else matters. Like, bro, the delivery is irrelevant. It really is. If I respect you, and that's something that you like, that's a bond you make when you form the team, right? When you pick up players, when you all come together as a team, you make that commitment right away. And no matter what happens from that moment to the next event, or the event after that, or to when you're done teaming, like, bro, it's to be better. It's to win money. And that's a big thing. And I think Clay, this is where the disconnect comes. Back then in the complexity era, and this goes for a lot of teams, there was no money. You were not making money if you weren't winning, period. You just weren't. And so the only goal was to make money. And the only way to make money was to win. And you had to win, or you were straight up wasting your time if you weren't winning back then.
The only problem I have, Pat, with the whole LeBron thing, right? And you can say the same thing, right? That's what people say when this conversation comes up. Look at Michael Jordan, look at Kobe, look at LeBron. They're also Michael Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. That's who they, bro. They're dropping fucking 40 a game, triple doubles, superstars.
Tom,
you know what I'm saying?
Hey,
they earn the right to act a certain way.
Don't play that way.
I'm just saying, Pat, imagine you had a fucking shit can on your team screaming at you. You would not sit there and fucking and act all cool and have this same mentality.
They're talking about, bro. Like, and I think that's the biggest teacher. And all, like,
was just bullshit. I'm not listening.
That's what I'm
saying.
That's
the point. At the high level, at a professional level, like, the person sitting next to you shouldn't be a shit can, right? Like, that's the whole point.
All I'm saying is the greatest teacher is experience, and all of my best teams. Tommy, we did this.
I know
you,
Ian, I know.
All of my best teams have done this. That's how you figure out issues after the fact. We also do it in a much more calm way, but in the moment, those arguments get to a point that lead you to a solution, right?
But saying, Clay,
and if
not
you don't
everybody's
have
built
those,
like that, you know, Clay. No, let Clay finish. Let Clay finish, though. Let him finish, Ben. Let him finish. Let him finish. Let Clay finish.
No, let's hear it, Ben. What's up?
Oh, man.
Yes, that helped when it was you, Dylan, and Ian, but let's not act like, towards the end of your guys' team, I think that also became a problem in you guys, a barrier in you guys getting better, no?
Yeah, we all got egos. Everyone has egos. That's why the arguments happen in the first place. If you can get a team where nobody has an ego and you can talk to each other normally, like an office environment, then you do it, right?
Yeah,
but like everyone at this level has to have an ego to perform in the top 50 players in the world. Like, you have to have some confidence in yourself and have some sort of an ego.
If you are defending your opinion when you're a top 50 player, even if you're wrong, right? Like, even if you're wrong and you don't know, if you're not defending your opinion, like, that's problem number one.
I think for me, the whole, like, tone of voice and how you deliver it and stuff like that only usually applies to when you're, like, at the beginning of, like, a team, when you, like, or let's say you guys don't have this bond yet, right? You're teaming with people that you might not have teamed before or stuff like that. Or in my case, like, I've dealt with this, right? When I'm teaming with amateurs, or I'm teaming with people that are young or that don't have the experience I do. I think a lot of the way you deliver things and how you handle things definitely matters a lot more. But, like, if I'm teaming with Clay, for example, like, a lot of that stuff is going to go out the window because we have a stronger bond than that. We've known each other for a long time. We're very competitive, and we know that we're not going to take those things. We're going to take those things on the chin. we have to say about each other.
It's all about who it is, man.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like
person.
with Don, I've known Don for so fucking long, and I know we can speak to each other like that. We've chilled in so many different settings. I know we can talk to each other like that. I do not speak that way to TJ or to Byron. I deliver the feedback to them in a much different way. But like those kind of conversations was, and even Theory to an extent, like there was a lot of stuff about the coaches and like and him and Don kind of going at it on stream. But like, dude, their history goes back further than 1 month, right? Like that the game has been out. Like they played together all last year together. Like they obviously are comfortable speaking to each other like that. Like they have a closer bond than anybody on the team right now, you know? Like so it's just about who it is, how you can speak to them, and if it's okay to do it. And like there is some people you can't, right? Like you can't speak to everyone like that. Like I couldn't talk to Paco like that, right? When he first joined the team. Like he would just shut down, right? And it just depends.
None of us talked to Teep like that.
No, we didn't.
Teep didn't talk to us like that. Like it's just like, bro, you just it's something that's like if you're not in the team, if you're not in the day to day, you're not gonna understand it. And yeah, you might see like a short glimpse in a stream where you see a clip and you make an assumption. But it's like if you're not in the trenches day to day, bro, you don't understand. Like it's the same thing. We don't see the locker rooms, right? Of like of all the sports teams you're fans of. You don't see the locker rooms, bro. You don't know what's going on. Like I don't know. I just think it's a way different thing. Nade's clip, I think, is just out of context. Like, he's a business owner now. Like, he obviously hasn't been in that environment in a long time.
What?
I know for a fact Clay used to be, or not Clay, Nade used to be like that in his ultra competitive way.
Yeah, he
like,
said that. He said that.
Yeah, it's just, bro, when you're in an ultra competitive environment, that's just how it is. Like, bro, I literally work at Ubisoft. You act like I'm in fucking meetings at Ubisoft, like doing this shit I was doing when I'm competing. Like, it's just a way different environment.
Trying to imagine Pat like that
when you wanna get something out of people, yeah, you obviously don't speak to the way you would in a number 0.01 percentile ultra competitive environment. Like it's
I just pictured Pat in the office screaming at everybody.
It's not translatable. And but the thing is though, we're all not perfect, man. I mean, we've all been in that point where maybe we've talked to somebody the wrong way that maybe we probably didn't or thought we could get away with. But I mean, in that clip, I guess it's definitely out of context, and I think that they know what they're doing.
Everything was TwitchCon, bro. Like that's all it was. Like our practice didn't really start until a week and a half ago. You know what I'm saying? Like
everything was for the views and the subs.
Bro, like I mean,
we all said
everything
was TwitchCon.
Yeah, it was Vegas TwitchCon, bro. That we were streaming every day.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that reference at first. Okay.
No,
I loved it. I think you guys need to turn the streams back on, bro.
I'm sure you loved it, Tom.
I love that shit, bro.
Yeah, you had the fucking.
I had it up. I had the Zoom zone up.
I still will never forgive you for literally getting Donnie to delete a YouTube video or a Twitch VOD that I was watching mid-watch for content. I was so mad. But one last thing I want to say about the whole subject, in just some way that you talk to people. I think that's where like the coach comes in a lot of the time.
Yeah.
We're handling those heated arguments and maybe getting people, bringing people down to earth. I actually had to deal with something like that today, during my my challenger team, where people are literally just like getting heated or getting irritated in the game about like things going wrong and other people doing stuff wrong, and like there just needs to be a time and place for it. And granted, it is healthy to have those arguments regardless of how you hash them out. Maybe you hash them out differently with certain players because you guys are more comfortable. There's definitely a time and place. So maybe mid-scrim, mid-match, definitely not the thing to do, because that just throws off your whole practice. It throws off the whole map. There's no point. But after the map is done, which was I think something that Nate said, the time and place, like after the map is done or after practice, I think that's the perfect time. Have at it. But mid-game, dude, I've done that before.
I will say it's evolved. It's evolved. Back in the day, like Pat with me and you, Tom with me and you, like our teams, how we used to do it, we would be cooking each other the entire map if we got into it. Like we would
chalk a map. Chalk a map over one mistake.
Listen, hold on. I don't play anymore. But I actually stand by this. I would rather chalk a map, fully chalk a map. Guarantee that whatever that issue is never happens again. Like we're all 100% on the same page, never happens again, and chalk the map. I would take that trade off every single time. And this, hold on, I'm actually gonna bring up in World War II. This is actually what happened on my team multiple times, bro. Like we chalked multiple maps over multiple plays that, like at the time, I felt were like legit. If we continue making these plays, like we're going nowhere, bro. We chalked the maps. Those plays never happen again. We won champs. That's all I'm saying.
Nah,
but
bro, first hard point, somebody fucks up a rotation, fucks up something, bro, and it's
it
over
depends
with.
on what it is. Listen, you gotta be able to have the awareness to, like, if you're gonna chalk a map, bro, you gotta have the awareness to call out a play that like actually matters. Like if Clay got bad timing, right? Like you don't chalk a map over that. But if it's like an actual mistake that you've not only addressed before, but it's continuing to happen, like, bro, I don't care. Chalk
And then
the
when you
map,
make
like,
the mistake
fix
the same
issue.
day, shit really hits the fucking fan.
Next, you do it next
Bro,
sprint.
bro,
If
they're
you
not
have
looking
those
for a
talks
new,
like this can
nah,
never
they're not
happen
looking for a
again,
new
and it
roster.
happens the next day, that's what
Looking
shit
for a new
really
teammate,
goes
bro.
down.
Looking for a new teammate.
The truth
No
of the
cap.
matter too is it's hard. Like if you care about what you're doing, you care about the competition that you're doing, it's hard to be like not like come off that way. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to rein yourself in. Like I've tuned in a Matt's stream in the last year, him playing Valorant, getting pissed at his teammates, you know? Like it's like if you're in any competitive setting, you're gonna like, you know, if you care about it, I don't know, it's hard to like pull it back.
Bro, if my teammate's not getting like hype and pissed off at a bad play, I'm questioning his passion. No bullshit.
Straight up.
I'm
He's got
questioning
no
his
passion, he's
Bro,
getting
listen,
dropped.
hey, I actually remember the example. It was London Docks, bro. App and Silly were our subs, bro. Adam will back me up on this. They were not hitting fire on London Docks. They were like jumping off top mid, hitting water, or going around street. I was losing my mind. They had the PPSHs not going in fire. I don't know how many London Docks I chalked, but hey, at champs, when push came to shove, hey, they were in fire every life doing their thing.
Yeah.
And hey, if that was the result, I'm taking it all day. I'll take the blame for being the dick that chalked I don't know how many London Docks, but when it came to champs, they were hitting fire. And I don't think we lost the London Docks.
Look at you, Pat. So inspirational, but
Hey, if it works, boys.
if it
I
works,
appreciate
it
you bringing
works.
me in. Y'all have a
Yeah,
good
Clay,
rest
thanks
of
for
the
hopping
flank,
in,
man.
bro.
Later,
Yes,
Clay.
sir, bro.
Later, Clay.
Thank you,
Later,
Clay.
boys.
Later, bro. Peace out, man.
User disconnected
Let's
from
switch
your
the
channel.
conversation on over and head over to the Reddit questions. Unless anything else, anything else? Ben, you got anything on your chest you want to get over or anything?
Let's move on to the question.
Let's take a look here. Let's take a look. First question's coming in from Brinks. He said, why do you think Activision put a good amount of money into the CDL just to never advertise it and dictate features into the games that are absolutely anti-competitive with no recourse to accommodate a competitive side, not even a red dot option anymore? Or do you believe this game and the last game's poor competitive state is rooted solely in IW and Sledgehammer's design philosophies and Activision shares little to no blame? It's a good question. Great question.
It's like a 15-part question. On the advertisement front, especially in the last title, there was a whole CDL section that I thought was pretty clear in terms of advertisement. Do I think that they need to do a better job promoting CDL on the Battle.net client? I absolutely think they need to start using that tool more.
Wait, what do you mean? We saw Zinni on the front page.
Yeah, no,
We did see Tony on the front page. We saw him.
But they need to do more of a CDL.
Y'all think
push
Tony
on Battle.net.
screenshotted that and printed it and's got it hung up somewhere in his room on his fridge? I guarantee he does.
It's pretty fire if he did that though. It's a big accomplishment. You're on the front page of Battle.net. It's pretty cool. I'd be like, yo, that's pretty cool if I saw my face on Battle.net. I think that's pretty cool.
What was it advertising? His stream?
Yeah, there was they basically did an influencer spotlight around the Warzone and MW2 launches. So
That's
okay.
pretty
Ben was
cool.
one of those people. Yeah.
Not bad.
I think it's a good question, and Chris and you guys can all chime in. I think there's a lot of good work that gets done in terms of promoting CDL. I think there's a lot way more that they can do. I think especially within the confines of Battle.net, the game client. I personally think that the CDL Twitter account and other kind of owned and operated channels by Activision, especially on Twitter and on YouTube, can do a better job. I think not only advertising when the matches are on, but I think like shoulder content around promoting the storylines and other kind of stuff around the CDL. I think they can do a better job.
Bro, I'm gonna keep it a buck. The way that I see the way the things work nowadays, or maybe they've always worked this way. I think Activision, they just the developers, the league, they go to them with ideas and they just do all the legal stuff behind it. And the only thing that they're responsible for is how can this make us money? Outside of that, they probably don't give a flying fuck. They probably don't even understand the league. They probably don't know like all this stuff. I think most of the stuff, the design philosophies that get put into these games is purely game dev side. You can see it because when every game comes out, it's completely different. Some games have squad spawns, some games have red dots, some games have this type of gameplay, this type of map design. I think the competitive stuff is purely on the game developers. because they are the ones ultimately that design the game, and we just make it work. And then all the like the legal stuff and all and like the actual like the money side, that is all Activision. But in terms of the actual gameplay and what we do on a daily basis, I'm telling you, I think that straight up just comes from the designers, the studios.
What do you think, Pat?
There's no way it does. There's
Tommy,
no way.
trying to trap me. Tommy, trying to trap me.
No, you don't have to answer if you don't want to answer,
Activision is
Pat.
too big. Activision is too big of a company, like to the point where they have to deal with all this little shit. Like
Listen,
their only thing is the money
I think it's really simple. I mean,
and legal stuff.
I think part of what Chris said is right in terms of like, yeah, the games are fully, designed and decided on by the studios themselves. And I think of the big issue that we see year to year is that the amount of people at studios that advocate for the competitive side, at least from a higher level standpoint, I don't think they exist at Infinity Ward. I think that's why we see a lot more with the Treyarch titles, because there are people in high positions in those studios that do care about the CDL product, whether it's not a priority or not. Like that's who cares.
No.
But I do think that there are people in positions that are influential that can really advocate for the competitive community because they care that this is a that community that exists, but to a product. I do agree. I don't think Activision has honestly any. I would doubt they had any control over the actual game at all.
Yeah,
like
100%.
any outside of like, please, submitting requests like, please make sure we have this feature for this.
100%.
We very much need it. But again, it's a low priority for the studios themselves. And when they get to it, they'll get to it. And there's probably obviously like some things that are like must-haves. But again, like at this point when there's so much, you're at a point now where like these studios, Codcaster, for example, right? Like they have this, they have Codcaster legacy from like Modern Warfare 19. Like they already kind of have these features. It's not like they have to create new features. If they did, I think that would be the really, really scary part for CDL. If they had to create features that didn't exist, because it would just be so low priority for these studios. And so yeah, I just think that like it just comes down to the fact that at these studios, maybe Sledgehammer, I don't really know if how many people they have that they used to have, but there's just not people there that advocate for the competitive community anymore.
Activision's only priority in this, and I can assure you, is literally just monetization and legal shit. Everything else is left up to the studio. As long as the games have a battle pass and monetization features and they're not crossing any fucking legal lines, then they don't care, as long as they're selling copies.
I think that's I think it's a little bit of oversimplification, Chris. Like there are people.
Do you think Activision cares or knows if a game has red dots or not?
I think to say that everybody is about money. True, yeah. There are a lot of people. Listen, they're a publicly traded company. There are a lot of people in senior executive positions who compensation is tied to stock performance, right? So obviously that drives the financial part.
Speaking of that, Ben, are you in on the Activision 20% arbitrage play on Microsoft acquiring them? Not financial advice to anybody. Just asking.
I don't have Activision stock, so can't speak to any of that. But okay. What I would say though, Chris, is I think there are people though in Activision that aren't necessarily concerned about the money. They're concerned about social sentiment. They're concerned about making sure people are streaming the game on Twitch, that the influencers are happy. So there are a lot of other competing interests that funnel into making money. I think where this all sums to the fact of what we discussed earlier on the show. I think that there is momentum now, and hopefully folks at CDL and other people at Activision can get this done, to put a headcount somewhere in one of these studios to work purely on competitive related features, such as supporting Codcaster, making sure like the CDL game modes work, rank play, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's people are advocating and have the headcount, by the way, to work on those products.
Yeah. I like I was saying, I think the developers are probably the more people at fault, because like you said, some of the developing studios have people that care about competitive in high places. I think it's up to Activision, I guess, to step in right in this situation and get some of those people involved in some of these studios that clearly don't care, like Infinity Ward, to have like some sort of base for competitive Call of Duty, so stuff like this doesn't happen with every coming release. But I don't know. I think that's like really the only place that, or the only thing that they can do at this point is step in that scenario.
And moving on to the next question. This question for all four of y'all: why do you think it'll get better? And I think maybe add on to that, or do you think it's not gonna get better?
Because we have a two-year.
Wait, what's the why
cycle.
here?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
game?
who thinks it'll get better?
Yeah, I'm confused as to why he said why.
No, yeah, is he talking about like the CDL or the
No,
game?
I think he's talking about like the game state. I mean, I think because it has to. We have this
The
for a
game
2-year
state.
cycle.
Yeah.
It cannot be like this.
I mean, I don't
for
think it can get
years.
worse.
Yeah.
I think it's at the bottom of what it could
Yeah,
be
but
right
said,
now.
why do you think it'll get better? Who said it'll get better?
Yeah, I mean, you think
We
it's
don't
at
know
rock?
that.
You think it's at rock bottom right now, Pat? It'll get better. There's no
Yeah.
way they don't make improvements. Maybe
I'm
add some
not-
other maps.
I think it's ridiculous to be glass half empty on the show, but I've always come at it a different way than you guys. Like, I think this game.
What does that even mean?
Well, I feel like sometimes we're a little bit pessimistic on the show, but it is what it is. I feel like with the way the game is now, they need to fix the fucking issue with the private matches, get that going, get fucking rank play going. And I think most importantly, Clay, that's exactly where I was going. The most important thing we want to see over the next 3 to 4 months is get some new maps in the mix here. This game with some quality maps could be very good. Right now, that's a miss, and they have some time to improve that.
I think they actually made the Warzone maps or the Warzone map, and then we're like, this is interesting. POI multiplayer.
Yeah, no, they did.
That's for sure what happened.
They
That's for
did.
sure
They
what
definitely
happened.
did that. There's no
And
way.
then after they got like 9 of them, they drove around LA and was like, "Damn, I like that spot. Let me get
like
that.
the Getty
Let me get that
Museum. Let's pull up and
museum."
get this in, yeah.
And then someone came in the studio and was like, "Hey, I was in Amsterdam. What you think about this hotel?"
I went to the Singapore Grand Prix. This racetrack seems pretty cool.
Yeah, it almost seems like that's how they went about it. Ben, tell us more about Scrimbucks.
Oh God, no comment, bro. Yo, I'm done on this.
Ben, to be fair, so a lot of people are defending you. They're saying that Scrimbucks is a popular term in other esports. People are defending you, bro.
I mean, I think like the way it's explained a lot in other esports is like that scrim results don't matter. So that's where the Scrimbucks things comes. It's just like imaginary money. I try to come at it from like what Pat was saying on the like experience and kind of like situational standpoint, but I'm done talking about fucking Scrimbucks.
Okay.
Really, I'm just too early on that shit.
And then somebody came in. He's got the final boss tag. I like that. Check that out.
You should have the red one. You should have the red one.
Do they have a red one? I thought that was their color, like black and blue. I thought it was like black and blue like that.
Hey, Tom, that was the Halo one. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
There's
You gotta
more.
check out Burn Bridges, Crim6's podcast if you wanna.
You know, I wonder. I
wanna hear
think
more.
Activision still owns. I think Activision technically owns the intellectual property for Final Boss, right?
Do they?
Yeah, because Final Boss is
I-
owned by MLG and they bought
yeah,
MLG. So
but
someone
I
owns his
wonder. I
rights.
wonder if everything was included in that, or not everything. Like,
Well,
I feel like MLG would have wanted to keep some of those like legacy IPs to them, not to
Also-
themselves, but maybe left it out of the deal or bought it out themselves.
So the way that deal went down, if I remember correctly, is MLG was sold. Some assets were placed under a holding company that I don't know what happened to. I don't know if it really even exists anymore. But I would assume
Guarantee
the
you,
Final Boss
Vindex
IP went to
owns Final
Activision,
Boss.
yeah. Well, like MLG Twitter account went over to Activision, so someone has control of it. It's such a sick brand. I would love to see it come back, man.
Yeah, but he said, do we need a new competitive FPS arcade shooter to compete with Call of Duty?
Yes, competition is always great for everybody involved. It keeps people innovating and making new products.
I mean, you know what I'll be up to. You know what I'll be up to.
Hey, Pat, we're waiting, bro. We're waiting for the drop, bro. We're waiting for the release, man.
I think
You
it's
know
gonna
what
be
I'm saying?
hard though, regardless, to garner the as much attention as
It is.
Call of
It's gonna be
Duty
very
does.
hard.
Call of Duty is such a big name. It's kind of like the whole thing with like World of Warcraft. If you guys know anything about MMOs, they're always just like, "Oh, what's the WoW killer? What's gonna kill World of Warcraft?"
I don't
And no
think there will
MMO
ever be
ever
a
does. It's the same
game
thing.
killer though. That's
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think that's what the.
I know.
I don't think that's what anyone should be after.
I think if
'cause you can't-
anything,
the brand is too big. Like Call of Duty just has too much of a brand. Like
I think
that's-
if anything though, Pat, I mean, outside of your game that's currently being developed, out of all the games that do you have like potential to get that sort of like fan base and capture that sort of fan base, it's probably Apex. If Apex released some sort of like actual like multiplayer inspired like version of their game, I think that game right now is very popular, and it's got a lot of those things that some of the people that play
I doubt they
competitive
would.
FPS.
It's got that. I saw. I think Jake Lucky talked about this on Twitter. The next thing with Apex, it's got that movement like skill gap, and I think that would be an interesting.
Okay,
dynamic.
But
people are
isn't-
saying-
isn't-
people
isn't their
say-
game literally just Titanfall? Like,
People are
it
saying
was
Titanfall, but
Yeah,
like, dude, the
it's kinda based on
Titanfall
that was their
Ti-
game.
dude. Yeah, but all of it's like ground war and like fucking mechs and shit. I'm talking about like the arcade shooter, like the small maps
I
type
don't
stuff,
think
right?
Apex would work as like a 6v6 arcade shooter though. Like I don't think it would.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was just trying to think maybe like a game like that because it has a lot of popularity.
Yep, and then Rambo also came in with a question. He said, do you guys think competitive growth would suffer if the competitive side of the game was separated from the standard game and tuned differently? Example, when you open the game, you'd have the option to go in MW2, Warzone 2.0, single player, etc., but also a CDL. Ranked play would live there, private lobbies would live there, and different game tunings, health, weapon tuning, audio, etc. I mean, there's a lot of different things that they can do to the whole.
What's his question? Does he think it would be affected, or
I think the problem. I think it's a good question, Ray, but I don't think the question's best direct. I don't think anyone on this show is going to disagree. I think the question is to developers: would they be open, because they've got to support the actual execution of that. And also that's a bigger question.
From an Activision side, would they be even willing to sign off on that? Because if what we were saying earlier is true, they we've been talking about it, like we are seen as marketing tools to the actual game every year. I mean, granted, we aren't as big as some of the other streamers or stuff like that, or we might be a smaller population. We still help advertise the game, and we are a marketing tool to the actual game every single year. So like we would be technically lost because we wouldn't be advertising every new Call of Duty. We would just be advertising the competitive stuff. So I don't know if they would even want to do that, if that was even a good idea.
I mean, I talked about this on stream, but like the first thing that should be popping up is competitive. There should be a competitive play that's there when the game releases. That way people could see it right there in front of them. I also think skill-based matchmaking kind of messes up pubs a little bit. Like if you remove skill-based matchmaking out of pubs, make a public playlist, but really promote the competitive playlist, kind of slap it on there, just make sure it's got a good rank system, kind of like how World War II had it. It's so you got to think about how like other games are doing it, like Valorant, right? Like Valorant has other game modes and deathmatch and other things you can do. But where does everybody gravitate towards when they want to play the game at a high level? They go towards ranked. They go towards competitive. COD needs to get to that level where ranked and competitive becomes the focus for those players who want to take it to the next level. And if they just want to casually play, then go play public matches. Nobody's stopping people from grabbing a brewski and going to play some pubs.
I mean, I think you're wrong though, Tom. I think skill-based matchmaking is affecting people from grabbing a brewski and playing some pubs.
No, wait, you think it is affecting people? It's stopping them.
That's
what I'm saying. It should be no skill-based matchmaking where they could just chill the fuck out and just fucking, fucking shoot some newbies,
Hey, Tom, I mean, you sound like you've been consulting on X Defiant. You've been following Mark Rubin on Twitter.
Is this what you're talking about over there? Is this what you're talking about or not?
Yeah, no skill-based matchmaking in the casuals.
It just needs to be, it needs to be public matches. It needs to be no skill-based matchmaking, strictly casual, have some fun. Anybody can play it. You get thrown into it. It's way more casual, right? And you have the rank playlist. That should be the first thing you see. The first thing you do when you hit multiplayer COD should be competitive, ranked. It should be the first thing you see. Next to that.
This is what pisses me off.
Then next to that should say public. You click on public and it should have different, team deathmatch, free for all, whatever, the game modes.
A well done rank play is literally the reason you don't need skill-based matchmaking. Like that's what I don't understand. This is what is always perplexing. Like when you see online, even when you see like the super casual Call of Duty community on like the Reddit complain and like say why skill-based matchmaking is good. It's like if you have a well done rank system, you can, if you're a casual player, you can play ranked and have the exact same experience. Nothing changes for you. You have the exact same experience that you're wanting. You're getting to play against your skill level players. The only difference is there's a rank next to your badge instead of a number, or a rank next to your name instead of a number. But as far as the gameplay experience, it's the exact same. It's literally the exact same. It is skill-based matchmaking.
You want to know what the skill-based matchmaking stuff is in there for, though? Is like Call of Duty wants to grow as like a brand, as a game and stuff like that, and attract new players into their franchise that stay for a while. And so for the skill-based matchmaking, that's a good thing for that sort of what they're trying to do. The reason is a lot of these people, they don't have prior stats, they don't have any sort of history on the Call of Duty games and stuff like that they can use to get into their skill-based matchmaking algorithm. So when they join in, they drop into a pub and they're playing against straight noobs. And so all these players go in, they don't get bullied by better players. They don't get bullied by people that have been playing Call of Duty for years. And so they play against these noobs. They have a good time, and they're like, wow, maybe I'll keep playing. And just like that, they almost like groom them into being like long-term fans of the Call of Duty franchise. So they're more likely to purchase games, to buy skins, to buy whatever the hell, or buy the next Call of Duty next year. That's what the skill-based matchmaking algorithm is for. It's to protect people that literally don't play the game or are new to the game, so that way they can kind of get them into the Call of Duty franchise. That's what that's for.
This is kind of off topic, but did you guys see you probably didn't. Snipedown was tweeting about skill-based matchmaking the other day on Apex and how it like ruins his opportunity to like play with his girlfriend or his wife. And the online tech director from EA, or I guess it's Respawn.
I saw this. I did see this.
He replied to the thread, and he basically kind of broke down how their skill-based matchmaking works, and this is super flawed. Like, and he, to be fair, he even admitted like there's flaws in their system, and they're going to make adjustments. But like, if you queue or Tom, right? If you and like 5 casuals queue up, right? Like 5 just brand new players queue up in a game. The skill-based matchmaking goes off your MMR, right? Like your hidden MMR, the party leader. Mm-hmm. And it's like, dude, that ruins the experience for 5 people in the lobby. And so it's like, I feel like skill-based matchmaking is really only catered to people who play solo anyway, because from a party experience, like, and I don't know how many players in Call of Duty like party up with their friends and play casually, but like if it's going off the best player in the lobby only, the experience is ruined for everyone else anyway. So it's like, it's really only catered to just the people who hop on and solo queue.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I just think there's skill-based matchmaking is just perplexing anyway. But to me, I just feel like the way the product's set up now for Call of Duty is everything's just a funnel to Warzone, and they obviously have the information where Warzone is what is making, outside of the selling physical copies, like that's obviously the key to them. But like after that, I feel like Warzone is the real moneymaker. And I think like multiplayer is just a funnel. Like everything is just now a funnel to Warzone.
Well, that's what we assume
or
it
the
is.
mobile.
I think you just made kind of the major point in all of this. Like, you brought up the Snipedown example where someone from a studio was like, here's how it works, here's what we're working on. I think we're lacking like that public comm strategy out of the studios outside of when Treyarch is really the lead developer, because they're pretty open book sometimes on social media. I think from IW, from Sledge, we haven't gotten that. And I think that's why we have these weird kind of different side conversations and debates about TTK, about SBMM, about other things. And there really isn't, we're not getting on the same page or alignment with the developers. And it's making a disjointed experience.
This is also completely separate, but I think this, like this is my theory. I think at these really low levels of Call of Duty multiplayer, like the very low end of, let's just say where like the majority of the player base is, probably like the 50%, the very low MMR players. I have a theory that they're not playing against real people. I think they're playing against
bots.
I think they're playing against bots in multiplayer.
That's a hot conspiracy theory.
But I'm pretty sure that's the case.
I really wish I knew how it worked.
I'm pretty sure Activision has the like patent for that too.
I wish I really knew how it worked, because
and that's not
at the
to
same
like disrespect
time,
and say people are just ass. I just genuinely think for retention they're playing against bots.
Pat said that it's good for the solo player, and I get that maybe to a degree, but at the same time, why is it that when I play pubs, I'm paired up with probably people that don't hold the controller with their hands? They probably hold it with their feet, and they just never played the game before, clearly, because you can tell. How the hell is that good for their experience? I don't know how the matchmaking algorithm works. I don't know if maybe like you get to a certain skill level where it just bugs it out, because I don't know how the game expects me to carry these people. And there's no, if I'm not having a good time and I'm the only one that can get a kill, how the fuck are they having a good time? Because they are getting actually bullied by the other team, dropping 300 shrieks on them while I'm literally fighting for my life. Like, how the hell does it actually work? Because it does not make any sense at all sometimes.
Yeah,
with the teammates that you get in your lobbies.
Yeah, it actually doesn't. But let's move on now. Let's move on to the next question. Why don't players utilize other social media outlets and their algorithms like TikTok and YouTube to vocalize and publicize the problems and frustration? Twitter is the only outlet being used. No spam tweeting to a bunch of COD followers is only leading to diminishing returns. No. What do you guys think?
Is that true? I mean, I feel like plenty of people put out YouTube content the last couple of days.
Yeah, and
addressing this.
TikTok too. I see a lot of people on
Optic's got a
TikTok.
podcast. They put out TikTok clips of them talking about this. I don't know if this is necessarily true.
I've seen. I think more pro players might be able to utilize TikTok more. Like I do see some pros on TikTok though. Like I see Dylan. I see Attach on there. I see Shotzi on there. Priesta.
I actually think it's the opposite.
Octane.
Almost.
Go ahead, Pat.
I
I
actually
actually
got enough.
I think the other platforms for a majority of people that is diminishing returns. Like, and this goes for content creators in general, right? Like, if everybody could do it, that would be a lot. That would be a lot more. I just feel like, and this is, I mean, you can go and look at a ton of people. Like, there's been people who have literally like grinded content on other platforms, and after a while, it's just like it was no, there really was no point. There was no growth there. Outside of Twitch, I feel like that's the main thing for a majority of these people. There are going to be some that definitely blow up on other platforms, but I think, I don't know, I just feel like that's kind of a
I think you would have to have like a
complicated topic.
I think you would have to have like a fan base built up on there that likes you and your personality and stuff like that. Because if you just went on there, let's say I just made a TikTok and started posting random clips and stuff like that about how I'm complaining about the CDL and its problems, it's probably just gonna get a whole bunch of casuals hating on me about Call of Duty, right? But like if you're like a known personality and you already have that brand, like if like let's say Tommy started, you started doing a TikTok, right?
Yep.
If you
at Tommy ZooMaa on TikTok,
there,
go check it out.
if you go on there and sometimes post flank clips about where we're talking about hot topics about the flank and the state of Call of Duty and stuff like that, I'm sure you'd probably get some positive feedback, right? But I mean, it depends. I mean, if players just start doing it now and just going on there to complain and vent and post problems, probably not going to do much good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say last thought on this goes again. We are doing a good job of bringing the things we discussed in the beginning of the show and answering these questions. To this point of why are we not vocalizing his frustration better? If the players were organized in one unified voice of 48 players and put out an open letter, I guarantee that would get a lot of traction.
Oh, 100%.
If they were unionized, everybody.
I could see.
No,
Jake
I'm not saying be a union. I think if they came out and put out an open letter and everybody signed the open letter, it would get picked up like everywhere.
I could see Jake Lucky posting a fucking video clip of us unionizing right now if that was like a thing. Like that would get a lot of traction. So I mean, I don't know.
Let's go on to the next one. Is it time for people to give up and actually just move on from competitive COD? No real dev support, and the divide between the casual and competitive audience is only growing. The viewership for COD as a whole has plummeted, especially with the OGs set to retire.
Well, I don't know about. Whoa, I don't know about plummeted. Viewership is definitely not plummeted. Like the weird thing
I'm definitely not going to give up on competitive COD. That's for
sure. Like AMA's up, so I don't know about all that. I think interestingly,
let's have this convo in 12 months.
Yeah. I think it's a better convo in the off season on this one. Let's table it.
Yep, and then there's some other questions here, but I feel like we touched on a lot of them. Like, if you were a developer, what would you do to bridge the gap between casuals and competitive players? I feel like we kind of talked about that a little bit, but if you want to add onto it, like Ben or Pat or Chris or any of you guys want to add on to that, any way to bridge the gap between casuals and competitive players?
The only thing they could do is release a competitive title or a side title, like you said. That way more people kind of like go on there and get interested, because I think they've tried doing this for years. People have made the argument where, oh, don't make GAs, play out the box. Bro, that will never happen. These people do not care. Like, they do not care.
I think the bottom line here, and this has always been true. I don't know why this has always been, like, honestly, always been a conversation. There is no bridging the gap, like, plain and simple.
That's where Ray was going with his question.
Call of Duty is a casual game.
Yeah.
Period. Always will be. Always has been. There is no bridging the gap. Whether there's people who potentially would be interested in competitive, sure, no doubt. But there is no bridging the gap. You're never gonna make one product that suits both people ever, and you're never gonna convert people who prefer the casual to come to competitive.
Yeah,
the only problem that competitive COD has ever had is that there's just not enough eyes on the product. But at the end of the day, there's no bridging the gap to the casual community.
The goal is to
casual
try and
community is
take
gonna
as
stay
many
the
of those
community.
casuals, right, Pat, and just get them into competitive. That's the goal. It's just
I think the problem is,
that's
like
the
I
wrong
said,
goal.
awareness. I think the problem is just awareness. Like, how many people know that the competitive
You think that's the
product
wrong goal,
exists?
Chris? You think it's the wrong goal?
Yes, because
Why?
remember we had this conversation before, Tom. You remember? I said we shouldn't be trying to channel the casuals into competitive people. We should be trying to channel the competitive players from other esports titles into becoming competitive fans of our game. How do you do that? First off, fucking open up the game and the CDL to, I know this is going to sound terrible for some people and people are going to like it. Open it up to keyboard and mouse, because you're going to literally just drive in a whole nother market of players and personalities and people that get interested in Call of Duty, because a lot more gamers on PC and stuff like that, they play on keyboard and mouse. It is what it is. But on top of that, like, that's where we should be trying to get our fans from. We should be channeling fans of CSGO, fans of Apex, fans of this, fans of that, into Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean, you do that both, Chris. You do both. You do that and what I said.
Chris,
you know what I'm saying?
You're right, but also, another way that you do that is you make a competitive standalone title, or a competitive standalone, just like another like another application. You know, Warzone's like its own application, like a strictly Call of Duty competitive thing.
Yeah.
That way, people that are interested in competitive gaming and ranked and stuff like that, they go to that and become fans of that, rather than trying to just simply channel casuals that don't give a shit, dude.
There's two problems. One, I wouldn't doubt that so much of our viewership, I actually know this is a fact, just from like people who I used to follow that used to be fans of the scene back in the day. Like, there was a point where like a ton of the older Call of Duty fan base went to other esports. Like when CSGO blew up, or when something else got really big, like a ton of our old core fan base branched and went to other esports. Like, they left our Call of Duty scene and went to other scenes and were more interested in those games. And the other big thing for me is that, and we've always talked about this, but Call of Duty competitive as just a community, as a title, the biggest issue is that players aren't fans of the game. Like, I genuinely feel this. Like, when it comes to Call of Duty competitive, players aren't fans of the game, and that's one of the core issues that we've always had. Like, when you compare it to like CSGO, like I could not know a single name of someone on a CSGO team. Like, I could just tune in to a CSGO match, a random event happening somewhere, and I'm invested because I like CSGO. I like to watch CSGO. I don't think that happens for Call of Duty as much. Especially the casual viewers.
Hold on.
You can say it's not the truth. That's the case.
Well, I have an example from literally last weekend. There was
you can't appreciate Call of Duty skill. Like, you from watching it, you just can't. Like, it's especially from the way, like, in the fact that we play a 4v4 game on an arena shooter, you cannot appreciate the skill from a first person perspective. I don't think that Ray says that's cap. I think that's always been the case, bro. Like, because most of the skill is not visual skill. Like, it's just not. You're not seeing like the same kind of things that you're seeing in other esports. You have to have way more knowledge to appreciate like what happens in a competitive COD match. Like, you have to have way more knowledge than just a basic sit back and enjoy what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And so I think, and the big driving point that Call of Duty community's always had is that you've been fans of the personalities, fans of the players, fans of the drama. Like, our scene was fueled by drama for I don't know how long, and that was one of the biggest driving points for the longest time. And I honestly, inevitably, I think that's going to be the downfall of CDL, especially after Seth goes. Like, I think that's going to be a big hit. But I think the real big issue with our community and our product as a whole is that there's not drama between these players. There's not, as just a general fan, there's not a lot to get invested in terms of like wanting to see team A beat team B, or player A beat player B. Like, I think we see like with Scrappy coming in the scene, and like, yeah, he's trying to doing more of that, but none of these players do that. They don't have the personalities that I think Call of Duty was built on, and in my personal opinion, what Call of Duty needs to survive on.
Okay, I want to just, on the CSGO example real quick, there was recently a pretty decent sized controversy in CSGO around the major, because there was a huge attendance problem with when someone went to arena when Furia was not playing, the Brazilian team was not playing. I know there's a lot of external factors, but I will say, to the CSGO example, it's a little bit more complicated in the way that you kind of set it out on. I just
Bro,
wanted to make sure
you're
that was out
picking
there.
one example from like the last major, but you could take any CS:GO event over the last 3 years. Like I will tune in and watch the CS:GO event if I have time because I'm a fan of CS:GO. I don't have to know the players.
What I
Like,
think
my favorite
CS:GO
players could all
hold on.
retire, and CS:GO is just entertaining to watch
Well,
because I'm a fan of the game.
What I
It's
think
that
CS:GO
simple.
has done well, by the way. Here's what when we talk about CS:GO that I like. Katowice is a great example, right? The growth of Katowice, that event over the course of what, like 5-6 years, is a textbook example of like how to do events in esports. Because you go into a market, not traditional esports market. In this case, Katowice is like very much a university city. You start small, and now if you go to Katowice for IEM Katowice, it is a massive festival, celebration of esports every single year. It's become a huge part of the local identity of that city. And so, I think to Chris's point, I think the KBM discussion post Scump probably in a couple of years is going to be very much a topic in the CDL.
KBM discussion? What does keyboard and mouse have to do with it?
Allowing keyboard and mouse to expand the player base and expand potential viewer base.
I don't think that changes anything.
I mean, this is the thing though. Like, and also I don't, even though like allowing it isn't going to change anything in terms of the pro scene, because in my opinion, bro, you look at a game like Apex, bro. All these people who run keyboard and mouse, a lot of the players, they all switched over to the controller. It's more so the fact that you open up the base to players that can come in and experience it. Granted, the meta game at the end of the day might be controllers. It's more so so people can actually come in and not feel like they're alienated.
Why couldn't they? You can play ranked play with a keyboard and mouse.
I'm pretty sure, isn't it like what is this word called? Isn't it like segregated between like inputs in ranked?
I don't think so. Not in ranked, no.
I'm pretty sure it was.
But you
could because you could play both.
Oh, you're
Chris.
right. You
Because
can.
I was playing keyboard and mouse against controller players. So I was
Yeah,
playing with
here's
controller
the
players.
Chris, is
You
like,
you can. You're right.
If you're a KBM player, like you can't pull up with your keyboard and mouse to an amateur event and play an open bracket. Like there's a barrier.
Yeah, you're thinking of
Participation
Halo,
right
which
now
by the
there.
way they fucked up with that bad.
Oh yeah. Also, I know what I was talking about.
That's like the
It was
reason you can't
tournaments. It's the
segregate your
tournaments. The
playlists.
tournaments you can't. The tournaments you can't play with keyboard and mouse. I mean, I think allowing it.
But they're
just
not getting
fuck
there
it.
anyway. I don't think that's changing anything. It's not like
it's possible that
It's
there are some
possible.
talented keyboard and mouse players that can figure it out. But right now there is no barrier. There's no way for them to enter. In
I mean,
those
I don't know.
tournaments.
That's something.
if we allowed
regardless-
keyboard and mouse right now, I don't see any
Okay,
keyboard and mouse player coming into the competitive scene and getting in the pro league.
I don't either. I don't either. But regardless, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. To me, that's not even like. Okay, to me, that's not even. Hello.
What a fucking go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Let Chris go. Let him talk.
That's not even the main
Let Chris
thing,
go.
though.
Chris.
That's not even the main thing that I'm even like talking about. Like I'm just trying to think of ways to get competitive people that are interested in competitive gaming from other esports to be fans of COD. I'm just saying that might be one small way. Regardless, my whole thing is that should be the focus. It shouldn't be focused on getting casuals to enjoy competitive. That's not a thing, bro. Like you can't force people that are casual players to be all of a sudden like super hyped up about competitive. They're just casual people, man. They don't have to be. But people that are passionate about competitive FPS, yeah, you can try to pick those people and be like, wow, look at this new game. I should watch this more. They should focus on that. That the conversation's been wrong this whole fucking time.
Ben, go.
No, I don't have anything else to add to
Nah,
this.
that's what Pat said. What's the problem?
Facts.
It's one of these classic Pat things where you're like, absolutely, this is not going to happen. It's going to age poorly. Absolutely poorly.
You think someone would come into the pro league or the pro of CDL playing on keyboard and mouse?
Eventually, once they get enough experience in the game, absolutely it can happen. You can't sit here with 100% certainty and say it wouldn't happen.
No,
yeah, you're a moron.
No,
for that, Pat. Respectfully,
bro. The people in the chat, they're like, simple would shit on these guys, bro. One, why the fuck, if you're that good on keyboard and mouse, would you play COD? First off, why would you even want to
the salaries
compete?
in COD are nice. If you're a player, and
they're more in other games. They're more in other games. You'll make more in Valorant or CS:GO,
well, maybe
or whatever.
Players,
if you're at the upper level,
I don't know about Valorant.
Games.
Bro,
yeah,
I don't know the Valorant.
There's way less spots in Valorant too right now.
Yeah,
but,
Valorant's not as good. It's not as big as you
I
think.
think Pat, to sit here and say, well, if a mouse and keyboard player, came in, obviously they probably have good mechanical skill, but as we all agree, there's a lot more.
Fast-paced.
You're gonna let me finish?
No, I can't. I actually can't.
All right, well then I want to.
In a fast-paced 6v6 or 44 arena shooter on small maps, controllers and aim assist are at such an advantage. It's not even funny.
Yeah,
this
I would agree with that.
This isn't a
keyboard
Twitch
and mouse player
bro.
that can
This
figure out
isn't CS:GO.
the mechanics of COD. I think it's ridiculous.
Headshots do not matter. Precision does not matter.
Movement's a big thing too, Pat.
Movement is so much harder on mouse and keyboard.
It actually is.
And not to mention the close range engagements that you get in in a 4v4 competitive match. I would argue 50% of your engagements happen within 10 meters, and that benefits controller an insane amount.
All I'm saying, Pat, is
and aim assist is at the strongest level it's ever been in the history of Call of Duty. You would be fucked if you wanted to play on mouse and keyboard.
It's ridiculous for you to sit here and say with 100% certainty it wouldn't happen. That's
bro, Ben, you're right.
Bro,
we've had 110%, Ben.
Is actually hilarious.
110%. More than 100%.
No, because what's funny is you're gonna say this, it's gonna get clipped, and you're gonna move the goalpost when inevitably this happens.
It'll never happen. It'll never happen.
All right. Well, I'm putting this down in the next 5 or 6 years.
If Call of Duty is still a 6v6 arena shooter, and multiplayer is still 4v4 within 6v6 maps, it'll never happen. Period. And we're playing the game modes that we're playing, like search and fucking hard point or whatever. Never will happen.
In chat, I see.
Buying me a nice steak dinner, Pat.
I see someone in chat, Bobo. I saw what you said in the chat about Tommy. Valorant's definitely bigger than COD. It gets 1 million views. I wasn't saying it like that. Like Valorant's a very big esport, definitely bigger than COD when you look at the viewership. Like the viewership is crazy. I was talking salaries. They were talking about the salaries. I know a few of the salaries that some of the Valorant guys are making, and bro, the COD salaries are definitely fucking shot to the sky right now, bro. Like in terms of like the average,
bro, and they'll come down. Like they'll definitely come down.
Like in Valorant, you have those players who are obviously superstar players that also come with a brand that are making a shit ton of cash. But I'm saying for like the average player, you know, I feel like in COD, like people are on pretty good contracts.
I don't know too, and there's like a lot came down.
I don't think COD salaries can be the problem with the depression on COD salaries is I don't think in order to pull it, the owners are going to kind of have to collude to pull it off. And right now they all don't because they're all competing for the same players. So there's a little bit of like market conditions not letting them depress salaries right now. So I don't think that's necessarily going to happen at least short term the next year or two.
Yeah, I don't think salaries are going to drop because every year, Pat, people they become a free agent or they're on a 1+1, and every team wants to sign those players, and it's a ladder. You know, it's a ladder. They're just always going to go up at this point. They started too high.
I think it'll get to a point though where like
it levels.
It's not like, bro. Like let's look at the Hydra situation, right? Like let's say New York has a horrible year, hypothetically. Let's just say it has a horrible year. Like even if somebody became a free agent, like I just don't see a team that's like, all right, we've had horrible year after horrible year after horrible year. We've lost 1 million year 1, 2 million year 2, 1 mil 5 year 3. I just don't see them continuing to be like, all right, maybe year 4 it'll happen. When the product as a whole is in my opinion either plateaued or like going down, you know, at a small margin. I don't think that this. And I know we parked some of this for when Seth retires, and we'll have a later conversation on it. But as the scene as a whole, I just don't see the growth going to the point where like salaries would justify that ladder kind of climb happening to acquire top talent. I just don't see it happening.
Well, what happens with those teams? They'll become uncompetitive, and then we're gonna have
some already have though. Some already have.
Yes, and there'll be another team, another team, but it's not gonna stop like. Optic, Thieves, FaZe,
but that's
team
my
like
point.
LAG, bro. Do you think well, LAG, by the way, is trying to build even a bigger, larger esports presence.
They already chalked it, bro. Look at their team. They already chalked it. Bottom line is, you're gonna
the Kroenke family's got capital B billions. I think they're gonna keep spending money, brother. But go ahead.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, but they're making the worst decisions that we've ever seen.
Well, that's a whole nother issue. Decisions and spending money are two different things.
Bottom line though is look at the amount of teams that have chalked it already. Like we especially the teams that are forcing player min salaries that we've seen so far. I feel like that number keeps growing, Ben. And then we're at a point where not only is like the amount of teams that have chalked it to the point where they're uncompetitive is like 50% or more. Then you start thinking, well, if expansion doesn't happen, it gets even worse because then these exit plans that you were kind of talking about earlier look more and more scarier. And then people like get to the point where they're preserving capital. I think Legion is almost already in that position where they're like preserving capital and kind of hoping for like an exit plan to come out of nowhere. And I think more and more teams are going to get into that position where you are focused on preserving capital because you're looking at this as just a loss after loss after loss.
I think the Legion, so like the way I assume the mechanics of this, right? Like you have people that bought in for X and they're assuming that down the road they can sell their spot for Y, which is 10X, 100X, whatever they bought in, right? And that price is kind of essentially dictated by Activision. It's not like an open market per se. It's not like they're going to go to JP Morgan and be like, help us sell this in the way you're seeing with like Manchester United, Liverpool, the Washington Commanders right now. It's a totally more closed market than that. I think the problem you're highlighting though, I just don't see it happening in the next 18 to 24 months because like these teams are just going to be uncompetitive. They're not going to be able to get players. There's going to be huge market pressure. I mean, even look at Vegas, right? Eventually, enough market pressure has kind of come around, and they've essentially built the more competitive team after like 3 years of everybody complaining. So, I think long term, maybe in 5 or 10 years, sure.
Think about the competitive.
But right now, like the scarcity of top end players is still driving salaries at or above the level that it currently is. So
think about the compression you're talking about though. Like Vegas, they got. It's not like they didn't build a competitive team. Like they took they were the last team to basically make a roster, and they picked players that nobody wanted to play with anyway. And it just so happened that they were solid. Like that's how it worked out.
Listen, the Vegas,
but they still underpaid those players.
That's not how that worked.
Wait, that is how that worked. Those guys. Clay was literally debating. He was like, I think I'm gonna retire because I didn't get an offer. And then Vegas came out of nowhere and he got a decent offer and he went there. like that's what happened. And then ProLoot got dropped. Nobody wanted to play with ProLoot. Tej got dropped. Nobody wanted to play with Tej. Like they just went to Vegas and they somehow were solid. Like good job to those guys for grinding out early and being solid. But it's not like Vegas tried to build a competitive roster.
Listen, Vegas talked to I know Don's in the chat, Clay's in the chat. They could probably back up on this. They obviously talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people turned them down. It's not like they just instantly went to fucking Agent Byron and said, "Let's team." Like
I would have turned them down too. I'm not even competing.
Team in. Don was trying his best to recruit. Yeah, they were the last team to form. You're not wrong about that, but that wasn't It wasn't like in past years. Last year, by the way, like where they deliberately waited until the end to form that team. Like it wasn't necessarily.
I think you're making my point for me though.
No,
it's like nobody wanted to play with Vegas because one, they were offering pretty low salaries in comparison.
Well, that speaks to the point we're literally just talking about.
Y'all remember?
Like,
all right, you're both morons. Go ahead, Chris.
Do you remember Ben's run it back, dude? That shit was hilarious, bro.
Yeah, bro. Ben, you wanted those guys to run it back.
Like, yo, Ben, if you were the Vegas Legion, what would you do instead of running it back? I'd run it back. That shit had me dying, bro.
I think for Vegas though, I think for Vegas right now, to kind of put a pin in that one. They need to realize that right now they've got the core of what should be on paper a pretty competitive and solid team in the CDL. And they need to back that team up with investment around resources around the squad. So they need an additional staff member, get them in the mix. If they need a facility they can all play at, because last year you had
why am I getting exposed?
You had fucking Jimbo playing for fucking French Canada. Like they need to give the team the resources to be an even playing field to other teams, or what's going to happen is it's going to fall apart. You're going to be back to building a team of leftovers. That's what I'm looking for Vegas this season. Otherwise, it's going to be back to the cellar they go.
All right, Ben, you got to sync a pup for us. And while you go and set up for that, the last question that came in on Reddit, you bet you can answer it. It says you come in, go out. But is this game better than Vanguard? Would you say this game's better than Vanguard or no?
I have more fun playing this game than
I like this game better than Vanguard 100%, without a doubt.
I don't know if it's the look, the feel, or what, but Vanguard had me spawning and depressed, bro.
Vanguard, you were running it through walls, and sometimes it would break, and sometimes they wouldn't,
bro. What I think it might be, though? I think my expectations with that game were set so low, I came into this game feeling positive, bro. Like,
bro, at least on Vanguard, like, I didn't feel like I was moving in slow motion, bro. When I aimed in, like I feel like my attachments could actually make my gun better. I could actually sprint out. Like I think you take I also think the maps were honestly better in Vanguard aside from like the windows and shit. I don't think any of these maps are good. I obviously haven't played competitively, But from what I've watched, I don't think a single one of these maps are good from a competitive standpoint. I would argue that I think competitive is better in Vanguard. I think Modern Warfare 2 is probably a better game.
The reason why the only
We
like
haven't
counter
even
to
started the
that, the
season
only
yet,
counter
so
to
let's
that
be
Pat is
careful.
just in Vanguard. I agree, like all that stuff kind of adds to the skill gap, right? Like the sprint to aim fire and the
It's not
fucking.
just a skill gap, Tom. It's kind of like the fun. Like,
yeah, and the
just-
fun of it for sure. I definitely felt like it became a lot of running around though, like especially on maps like fucking Bow Cage. You know, it's just a lot of running and a lot of chaos. You know, this game at least it feels like teams can actually set shit up. And like actually work on breaks and actually work on setups, and there's actually like a right way to play it. And spawns are a little weird on some maps, like Embassy, like when you get like those weird like back ladder spawns, those parallel spawns. Like there's definitely some weird spawns, but you're just gonna have to be aware of that. You know, at least it makes sense. At least everything makes sense. You know.
Yeah, well, wait, this
I
is a
just feel
hard,
like I
these are
have time
hard
to use my brain
comparison.
on this game.
Yeah,
I don't
you
know.
can think. You can
Yeah.
actually like outplay
Other game
people
was
rather
just
than just like
fun,
run.
bro.
Yeah, just run. Just go. Just go. Just hit the fucking hill. Like
let's
you saw
see-
players like AG do it, just like fucking run at people. You know. But go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in regards to the map set, I don't think you're super off base, Pat. I just think we should be careful of this conversation because we're talking about Vanguard with the whole year of their iterative map pool. Let's see what happens with Modern Warfare 2 and where we're at. Like,
I mean, I
end
didn't
of
think Vanguard
season.
maps are good. To be fair, I just really don't like these maps. I don't know.
Really? You like the Vanguard maps?
You like the Vanguard maps?
No,
I
no,
think
no,
we're
no,
shite.
No. Are y'all deaf? I just said I don't think the Vanguard maps were good.
I thought you said I don't like the
Yeah,
Vanguard
that's
maps. I thought that's what you said.
But he thinks they were better than these.
No, yeah, that's not.
Or
I
that
think
you
they
do
were-
like the Vanguard maps. That's
No,
what I
I
meant.
think I thought the Vanguard maps were bad, but I also just think these maps are bad. Like I don't know. I just don't like the flow. Does not feel right for me on these maps. And I haven't scrimmed or played eights or anything like that. But just from like and even if you consider having like the raceway map in or whatever, like I don't know, they don't feel like 6v6 arena maps
Yeah,
to me.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I still hope we get the whole an overhaul. I mean, we did it. Cold War got its praise, but I think a lot of people forget that game had like all of its maps substituted at some point.
Well, that's
Besides
the thing, like,
Checkmate
bro,
and Garrison, and then the original that came out with Apocalypse. But besides that, they were all gone.
Vanguard maps are
that is the one
atrocious,
thing
bro.
though I will say is Treyarch does do a much better job in making what feels like 6v6 arena shooter maps. Like to me, these maps just don't. These maps they feel like what they are, points of interest. Like that's what these maps feel like to me. They don't feel like 6v6 arena maps, and from just an arena shooter in general. They don't feel like arena shooter maps. And
Well,
that-
yeah,
that's-
Pat,
that's the
I don't
issue
think,
that I
and
have
I
with
don't think
COD
anybody here,
nowadays.
like, I'm definitely not gonna sit here and be like, oh my god, MW2 maps are way better than Vanguard maps. We're just picking out of the shit. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I mean, it's a
You're
turd
picking through
compared to another turd,
you're
yeah.
picking through the fucking pile of shit. So it is what it is.
We're
You know.
playing fucking Lord Farquaad Electric and Embussy. Like
That's the
we're at the
problem,
bottom
Tom.
of the pile.
The-
Of the
I
pile,
don't even think they were designed as like 6v6
No, they
maps.
weren't.
Like
There's
they
no
were
way they were.
legit points of interest on an open world map.
They're not going in. They're not designing any maps with a competitive mindset. That's just how it is. None of them. I don't think any of them went into with a competitive thought in mind. But I don't know. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it for the flank tonight, man. I hope you guys did enjoy. When's the next show? Like probably when the league starts, right? December 2nd is when we're starting with matches and everything. And those are gonna be online, or
Yeah, we should. What we should do is, we'll obviously do a show probably on Friday. We should probably do a show like on Thursday, like a preview show.
I'm down. I'm
Yeah.
always down to run shows. Well, obviously we'll
give our
talk about
match
it.
predictions, answer some questions. We'll do a shorter show, but then our regular shows will be back next week.
Yep, I'm down. Ben, sink
Yeah.
this putt and get us out of here. Honestly, I think a lot of people, Ben, are rooting for you. A lot of bits are on
I
you
made
right now.
5 in a row on stream earlier. So.
All right, so you're feeling pretty good. Make sure you push that ball back, too. None of this bullshit. Put it back there. Yeah, that's good right there. Is he barefoot? Does he get the dogs out?
Yeah, he's got the dogs out.
Oh,
but he's
no,
warm
where
on
you
his,
slipping
he's warm on
at?
his sweatpants
and it's
though.
cold outside, bro.
Where
No,
you
but-
slippies?
But look, he's got his sweatpants wrapped under his feet.
Bro, this guy's got his dogs out. Ladies and gentlemen, Benji didn't see me. He's gonna sink the puck. Come, cool, collected, Mr. Benji. No, see. Hey, Ben, it's
Finally get some
clinical,
ones in the
Ben.
chat.
Yo, Ben, you got the dogs out for free?
One in the chat, man. One in the chat. Yeah, Ben, you got the dogs out, man. We're gonna have to do
Bro,
what's
I've been
going on
wearing
here.
slippers, dude. I've been wearing my slippers all day, bro. I'd take them shits off for a second.
Them
now.
shit stink. All right.
Wait,
yo,
wait,
Tommy,
wait,
wrap
hold
it
on,
up.
Tom. Before you send this out, bro, can you please do me a favor and bring up Nameless's tweet? I gotta get all of your opinions on this.
What
Yeah,
are you
what
trying
an-
to
what
do?
an intro,
Chat,
bro.
chat can chime in as well. It wasn't today. It was yesterday. Let's see. I can link it if you need it. November 21st. He said my
November 21st.
content. My
Okay, I got
content
it. I got it.
friends are. Yeah.
Yep, my content friends out there / work from home people. Do any of you find that you are more productive when you have shoes on? Maybe I'm weird, but I work much better when the kicks are on, even though,
Wait,
Bro.
he did
though
that
I'm
as a
just at
player
the
too.
house.
He
Love
did
my
that as
ass
a
off.
player too. He said, "I play better with shoes on."
Bro, in the house, like at your desk with shoes on.
It
Nah,
depends,
bro.
bro. It depends. Like
on the
wait,
carpet and everything. Fuck it.
it depends. Like when I lived in Texas, right, Ben? When I had carpet in my room, right? So
Yeah.
I didn't wear shoes like a lot of the time. But over here, like I'm on cold tile, right? So I personally like playing with shoes here when I'm in Jersey or like
you got,
slippers or
no,
something.
you got
actual
shoes on or
just like
slippers?
slippers.
Right
like
now, I got
slides?
these slippies on. Right now,
No,
I got,
that doesn't
no.
count, Tom. We're talking about like.
well, I
like
got
he's-
on right now.
He's got the J's
Oh
on.
yeah,
bro.
no, Tom, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. We're talking about like lacing them up. Like he's lacing them up.
No
Feeling
way, bro.
productive,
Lacing?
bro.
Nah,
Bro,
bro.
yeah. Bro,
Nah,
Ant was at the I went to the Envy House one time when it was in North Carolina. And bro, Ant had his J's on, bro. Had his Jordans on, scrimming.
He had
I'm
the
looking-
bread.
I'm like-
He had the bread 11s on.
Yeah,
Scrimming.
bro. I'm like, yo, is this guy serious? Like they're in the Envy living room, and he's got fucking Jordans on playing Ghost.
Yeah,
Scrims at 2, basketball game at 5:30.
Bro, App was the same. We were in the Columbus apartments. App had the Kobe's on.
All right, well, let's end
He
it
was
there,
playing
man.
pubs
Let's
in the
end it there.
Kobe's.
Let's end it there. Nameless, he laces up his shoes when he goes to his setup in the morning. Let's end this show right now. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, go to anchor.fm/theflank to check out all the audio sites that we're on. And go follow @theflank on Twitter. Gerst doing a phenomenal job running socials as always. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Brush your hair. And you guys have a fantastic, phenomenal night. Take it easy.